America first. We were not attacked, as Rand Paul pointed out. He needs to fix what's wrong here in America before he starts taking down monsters abroad.
From a historic perspective, from a Machiavelli perspective, I understand exactly what President Trump's doing, and it's genius. And it's all been executed flawlessly with extreme ballet-like grace. That said, the optics for his key base is ruinous. And it's part of a larger maneuvering going on in the White House to drive him away from his base and into the arms of the Democratic Party. And I knew this from sources. I knew this watching it. But with the healthcare thing, with Jared Kushner being away for a week skiing, when he admittedly helped engineer it with Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, it's disastrous. Kushner comes back and then convinces the president that it's the fault of the Freedom Caucus, who are the only people that are actually 100% living up to their promises and are the folks there to keep Trump honest. Steve Bannon keeps saying, hold our feet to the fire, hold our feet to the fire. When the decision was made to do this, he said, it's horrible. So Bannon, as I said, is the real deal. What a rarity. Trump is as well, but the optics of the nerve gas, of the media unanimously saying it's that, of the intelligence from the Pentagon, his blind spot is completely trusting the top brass and their analysts, because look at the fake, the Office of Special Plans about Iraq WMDs and all the stuff with Bush. Of course, it turned out he ordered the fake documents. He told Tony Blair in the Downing Street memo. I can see the cold-blooded execution of this, and I understand geopolitically why it's been done. I understand that they're taking a false flag that was clearly launched, I would say, by the neocons and the globalists. McCain was just there a month ago. The same group he's been funding has been caught doing it before. That's confirmed. Obama creates a red line. On the year anniversary, a chemical attack is launched when the chemicals aren't even good for war in these populated areas. Why would Assad do something knowing it brings in the United States 1 week after Rex Tillerson said, he said last Wednesday, 1 week after he said, looks like we're going to have Assad stay in power and transition out. Then they go and chemical attack right as the United States is defeating Al-Qaeda, defeating ISIS. Our military are the ones 5 years ago that said they wouldn't be part of backing Al-Qaeda and ISIS. It was this broadcast. It was Drudge Report. It was Rand Paul, the senator. It was others that came out and said no. A great moral moment for America. England joined us for the first time in over 100 years and voted against Obama and the war, but voted with the American people against war. So this was an unprecedented moment. Now, as we're defeating ISIS, driving them out of eastern Syria into western Iraq, as the Iraqis come in as a pincer attack, right as they're being defeated and announcing they're being defeated, boom!
You provided Alex with the caveman.
Well, so we've been formulating this stuff for a while. We've been getting these different flavors, and I don't know about this one, and so I've been taking that stuff, and I'm an old man. I'm 42. I work out 5 times a week, if not more.
I hear you're okay in jiu-jitsu.
I'm not. I'm terrible. I'm terrible. But the point is that I have a lot of aches and shoulders, and this weird joint stuff that I've had issues with for years. And this bone broth, the caveman bone broth, along with our joint formula, has just worked magic for me. And that's just, that's just from my personal experience. I think they're great products, and I think if anybody else has those issues, that you should definitely, you owe it to yourself to check it out. If I'm wrong, then hey man, write me a mean letter. But let me tell you, they work for me. And so,
they work for me too. We were talking about this earlier. Du and I play basketball, and I'm just now, like for the first time in my life, I'm 27 now. After I play basketball, my knees are barking. But the bone broth and the joint formula, like you just said, you combine those two. I felt the difference immediately. I felt it immediately.
Yeah, and it actually tastes good. Like, I'm really picky, and I will drink it. It tastes good to me. I love chocolate, so I really like the flavor of the caveman. So, if the bone broth is really that gross, I would never have known, because it tastes really good. And my favorite is the Super Female Vitality. So, ladies, get yourself some Super Female Vitality if you haven't already, because it just gets me going. I'll take a whole bunch of that stuff before I go out and do
get it to your wife then too,
yeah,
or girlfriend.
Right? I go and take a bunch of it before I go do man on the street, and I just start running, zipping around, running right into the action. No fear, nothing. So.
Well, that's a big primary part about, fighting the globalists is making sure that we stay healthy and stay clear-eyed and stay honest and stay humble. I hope that we do that here at InfoWars. We got a lot going on, and we're in the middle of the fight, so we really appreciate it when anybody supports us, either by purchasing our products, or you can even go onto our store and donate. We're doing this by the skin of our teeth. I know it looks like we're in a $1 billion studio, but Alex has never taken 1 cent of borrowed money at all whatsoever. This is all money that's come from you listeners, so you've literally built this place. Built this place with your compassion, and built this place with the support that you've sent us. So from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it, because I know we wouldn't be able to do this, and we wouldn't have a voice if it wasn't for you. So once again, we got to thank the listeners for their steadfastness in supporting us, and even when we make mistakes, and even when we're not right, and even when we might go a little bit crazy, you guys stick with us, and I appreciate that.
Councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial commonwealth.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if we were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists.
I also believe a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
Guns will be taken, and no one will be able to be armed. We're going to take all the weapons.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
Global governance at last? Is it one world? The central bank is in charge. Aren't we all just living and dying for what the central banks do?
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Do you understand?
Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
Well, these are the times that try humanity's soul and endanger our very future as a species. Thank you so much for joining us on this live Thursday global broadcast, already the 13th day of April 2017. North Korea has warned foreign journalists of a big event that's set to happen sometime today. And, of course, they're set to test another atomic weapon coming up on the 15th. That would be Saturday, and Trump has signaled he's intending to strike Kim Jong-un and the Capitol and other facilities if that happens. And CNN is out there with all these reports as if they're writing and broadcasting for Kim Jong-un in North Korea, the People's Democratic Republic. And that's hilarious. The People's slave pit. That Trump's the one saber-rattling and being provocative and talking about armadas when it's North Korea firing all these missiles, threatening to nuke Hawaii, nuke South Korea, nuke Japan. And it was surreal last night and this morning. I read 5 or 6 articles on CNN alone that were transcripts. Now, there's one of them, Trump saber-rattling is North Korea's propaganda dream come true. And you read the article, it's like, it was horrible how Curtis LeMay of the Air Force dropped more bombs on North Korea in the Korean War than were dropped in the Pacific Theater in World War II. And it was terrible, and it was horrible, and it was mean, and it was bad, and no wonder they hate America so much, and no wonder they're so poor, because we dropped bombs on them in 1950, 51, 52, and 53. They don't tell you the communists poured in, took over, were murdering hundreds of thousands of people, millions total. About 2.5 million people died in the Korean War total. You can look up the numbers. And the communists started it. But you're reading this, it's like MIT, the story's on Infowars.com. MIT Press has come out, our supposed top technology university, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, with a communism for children and how to teach children in elementary school how to be communists. It's a textbook on how to be a communist. MIT Press publishes a children's book titled Communism for Kids. Talk about disconnected from reality, but they're not. This is what the establishment wants. Remember President Obama about 8 months ago went down to Latin America, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and he gave the same speech everywhere. He said, now, communism is supposedly a dirty word, but you know it isn't down here. We can have communism here in your countries. And then globally, we have big corporations. We have capitalism. And that capitalism works with, my Obama imitation is not very good, works with the communist. And that was actually something true out of his mouth. Big mega banks, big ultra-rich combines above the law, tax exempt. They go and they set up or work with authoritarian, communist, you name it, regimes for slave labor and total control. No labor union problems there. The quote was, there's little difference between communism and capitalism. Communism is completely unrealized and fake. It's just a pseudo system created by British intelligence and put out through Karl Marx and Engels to get the giant revolting peasants of the world, the Russian serfs, the German serfs, everybody else, to go into a new cosmology of, oh, you don't want to be on your collectivized serf farm? We'll take you away from your little farm that had some culture and ship you 1,000 miles and really put you on a slave commune, and that's how you rebel against the man. And that's the animal farm. That's what Animal Farm's all about, the communist Bolshevik revolution and what happened in Russia. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. That was only until the pigs kicked the humans out, moved into the house, then they started walking on 2 legs and said, 4 legs good, 2 legs okay. And by the end, 2 legs good, 4 legs bad. And the old workhorse that helped the revolution come into power, and it was honorable and good, when they were done with that old horse that worked himself to death, they loaded him up, sold him to the humans, and took him away to be turned into glue and chopped into dog food. Might want to read Animal Farm. From a devout communist that was at the highest levels of British intelligence setting up the communist, and then realized it was all about enslaving humanity and Satanism. Go read the letters and books Orwell wrote before he died that were nonfiction. Eric Blair. I just go back to that because it's so critical to understand this, ladies and gentlemen. All communism is feudalism with new feudal lords. All right, let's stop right there. We have an award-winning journalist, Robert Perry, says incident was likely a false flag. Well, I'm glad we've got Ron Paul and myself and Vladimir Putin and basically Rand Paul and the British ambassador to Syria and Michael Savage and everybody else can see what happened. But now there's more evidence mounting of where the chemicals actually came from. Same story as 2013 and 2016. Remember those confirmed cases of it being a false flag? That's up on Infowars.com. I apologize for watching an article. I want to open the phones up today. I keep saying I'm going to open them, but I end up taking limited calls. This is the time when people want to talk about the North Korea situation. Folks want to talk about the economy. People want to talk about all the political correctness, where this fight's going. North Korea evacuates 600,000 from capital. We're going to get to that. Kit Daniels, Infowars.com. Trump comes out, new story. Dr. Jerome Corsi says it's not too late to prosecute Hillary. This is just some of what we're covering. Now that Trump's going into this anti-Russian stance, at least rhetorically, did that appease the CIA operatives like Anderson Cooper at CNN? No. Now they are just saying Russia must be behind the chemical attack or covered it up. So that drumbeat's intensifying. The good news is Republican lawmakers expect a roll for Congress and military force against Syria. And you got Trump going out saying, we're not going into Syria, we're not going to topple Assad. Well, that's a half-truth. We're in Syria. U.S. troops are massing. The amount is classified, but the word is it's in the tens of thousands being injected on top of the thousands that are already there as we speak. And the word is, from the officers on top, is there is no word. And the only time you hear that is when they're planning something big. So I don't know. And that brings us to the big question I'm going to cover for 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to start taking your phone calls. First-time callers are always welcome because we don't take calls as much as we should. The only people that have never had a chance to call in, and I will try to cycle through them as quickly as possible. The toll-free number is 800-259-9231. Any topic you want to discuss is fine, but I'd like to stick to some of the big, giant World War III news. Most analysts agree this is the greatest threat to World War III in human history. The greatest threat in human history right now. The top search term out there has been off and on, World War III. It's the greatest number of searches for World War III in history, according to Google search. That story was on Infowars.com yesterday. So this is a big deal. Now, when we come back, Zero Hedge has the headline, Trump flips on 5 core campaign promises in under 24 hours. CNN has a similar headline that Trump has gone from being an outsider to an established politician in just the last week. In fact, I meant to print that. Maybe you guys can print me that. Thank you. Now, why is that so important? Well, I look at this from a very cold-blooded perspective. I'm very warm-blooded and do things because I believe they're right and for humanity. But I can cold-bloodedly analyze what people are doing and then apply my conscience, my morals to it. But I can look at things from a sociopathic perspective so that I'm not just here emotionally buying in to what CNN says and what others say with this new big push that we see out of Media Matters and the Democrats that Trump is betraying his base. It's very nuanced. But if Trump is betraying us, he is doing it subconsciously and is betraying himself and is lying to him. I'm going to commit blasphemy against the globalists right now in the New World Order. I'm going to tell all of you that we're celebrating the Christian holiday of Easter, our risen Christ, on the third day, by having some of the biggest specials ever at InfoWarsStore.com on amazing supplements. You know, mainstream media demonizes us for selling high-quality organic supplements that are game changers, while they have all the poison, big pharma drug ads all day, sitting there poisoning the people. What a shameful group of wicked devils. Ladies and gentlemen, our Christ raised from the dead on the third day. And our republic can rise from the dead if we wake up to what the globalists are doing and if you support independent free media. There's never been a better time to support InfoWars with these specials at InfoWarsLife.com because it's all about life. Get the products, whether it's water filtration, nutraceuticals, Patriot apparel, you name it, it's all available at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Someone very profoundly once said, many years ago, that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
This young generation who scream words like fascist have actually themselves become the fascists.
You guys are the fascists! You're all the fascists!
You white male! I just wish that somebody would create like some kind of a safe space where we can all just go and...
Hey, you're a white man who gets to do whatever he wants to in this space, right? You need to get out.
I actually don't.
All right. Hey, you want to get this corner out of here? I need some muscle over here.
Donald J. Trump is now president of the United States.
So the question is, are social justice warriors mentally ill, or are they just stupid?
When your emotions control your actions, it affects not only yourself, but the people around you.
There are over 7 million mentally ill and emotionally disturbed children in America.
It has to be a joke. I cannot believe this is happening. I'm literally about to kill myself, and I'm not kidding. You better fix this right now.
Get the out of here!
Jeff's losing control of himself.
Get your phone away. Why? Quit recording. What?
The madder he gets, the worse it becomes.
Get the away!
You couldn't help interrupting, could you? You added nothing to that conversation.
These are some of Tommy's drawings that the school sent over. There's an awful lot of hate in them.
I am a nasty woman. Like your wet dreams infused with your own genes, but yeah, I'm a nasty woman. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
You think our information's hardcore? You think our focus is brutal? Try our nutraceuticals. Try our supplements. We've taken Rainforce and made it Rainforce Plus. Now at 20% more in the bottle and an even more hardcore formula. You owe it to yourself to get these products. They really have worked for myself, my family. They have 5-star reviews by the thousands. Secure your Brain Force Plus today at InfoWarsLife.com. Now 20% stronger. Again, InfoWarsLife.com. Show's your host. Thank you for joining us. Let's get right into it now. Is Trump betraying his base? Is Trump selling us out? And the answer is no. In fact, Trump is attempting to co-opt the establishment. Trump is trying to take over the New World Order. Now, I've known that for a while. I've said that. And he's telling the elites, just sit down and stop it. We're not going to have the eugenics garbage. We're not going to have forced vaccines. We're not going to dumb everybody down anymore. It's going to be Wild Wild West, and we're taking over through free market and through our power. And we're going to get the people on board with this by flooding them with success. And we're going to try to kill this political correctness and all the rest of it. That's what Trump's doing. Now, let's go over the talking point. Because if you look at Drudge, banks boom. Consumers now believe it's healthy for the first time in over 10 years. Jobless claims post-recession low. Spring, Trump approval up to 48. Gallup and all that's totally fake. He's been at like 60%, folks. It's all peer pressure. But then the establishment, when he starts to do what they want, they go, oh, maybe you're going to be a good boy now, while simultaneously telling his base, he sold you out, turn against him, so that the base will leave Trump and he'll be left with the establishment to fend, and that's their hope. That's the hope of the Democrats. That's what they admitted months ago. That's what they're doing. So let's go over it. Trump's stunning U-turns on NATO, China, Russia, and Syria. That's CNN. BBC. Trump reverses course in 24 hours from NATO to China to Feds. It's the same talking point. BBC. Trump flips on 5 core promises in 24 hours. Okay, what did I explain to the Hispanic Americans particularly? I said Trump has to bring back in nationalism, invoke that we're allowed to have a country, say it's wrong for the Democrats to teach all this racial division and turn Hispanics into some kept underclass that they control. And then the rich Republicans use you for cheap labor. That's not what we're going to do here. Trump's going to make it easier to come here legally. They've made it hard so that they keep the giant underground groups. And that's what Trump has said. It's the books he reads. It's what he does. They take stuff out of context to say he hates all Mexicans. This is how they deceive. So I warned conservatives. I said he's actually just going to have a more streamlined system and try to bring people out from the shadows. That's the unifying plan, at least what Bannon was pushing. Now, that remains to be seen with Bannon supposedly on the way out, if there has been a real turn internally. But I'm not here defending all this. I'm laying out all the pieces because it's not simple. But he wouldn't be delivering, and we'll go to these so-called flip-flops in a minute, because some are real, some aren't. He wouldn't be delivering on trying to keep interest rates low, trying to get small business loans up, trying to get all sorts of small business initiatives going, defending the border, attacking political correctness, building up the military, killing TPP, getting $300 billion in new jobs already announced this year, breaking ground, all these major car companies coming back, hundreds of companies, everything from Hasbro to Mitsubishi to Samsung, all accelerating, moving here, because he's announcing we're not going to be cost prohibitive now with regulations under global zoning. That's what the New World Order is, global zoning, where the West is not an industrial system. The UN zoning of America, the globalist plan, is being thrown in the trash, and we're taking over the skeleton of it to direct the planet's future. Now that's your real rebirth Americana with free market, gravitas, soft power imperium. And you look at the big wars he could start, and you look at him running around swinging a big stick and meaning it. He said, we're going to be great again, get ready. Started to look a little bit like Julius Caesar. See, destroying the globalists is one path. We must do it because they are pure evil eugenicists. But you want the big alpha male, you want the big largesse, you want the power, you want the wealth, better get ready to get in the military. And by the way, I'm not endorsing any offensive wars. Peace through strength. This is the dogma. This is what Trump really believes. So if he's selling us out, he doesn't know it. He's selling himself out because he sees himself turning America around, being the grand hero that does all this. His family, the gold platinum standard of all political families with a super dynasty that makes the Kennedys look like a joke. He knows he's got 15, 20 years to live. He knows what he's doing. So if he doesn't deliver, if he screws us over, if he cons us, and America fails, his name will be among the lowest. He doesn't want to be Benedict Arnold or these other losers. He wants to be the big guy that takes America and the world in the 21st century. Now, we'll look at what he's actually doing and track that and look at these so-called flip-flops straight ahead, and then we'll open the phones up, which we've done, and take your calls. 800-25-99-231.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
For the most part, InfoWars has not commented on the United Airlines incident because we think World War III is a bigger issue. But here's a take on it. Everyone involved is a jackass. Let's start with the airline. You couldn't raise the offer for someone to take it? Was $1,000 really too high for you? You really had a man physically removed from a flight that wasn't even overbooked. To the doctor. What the heck is wrong with you? How old are you? What did you think would happen? You knew they were removing you from the plane. Why did you then decide to act like a 5-year-old who doesn't want to leave the playground? You did this to yourself. To the passengers. As all of you sit there in horror of what you're seeing and hearing, not one of you selfish frauds had the courage to step up and volunteer your seat, but you had plenty of courage to videotape it, didn't you? All in all, this man got more attention than severed children in Sweden and Yemen, China moving troops to the North Korean border, a strange naval flight path off the West Coast, or the alleged patient he so desperately had to save. For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
This is Alex Jones. I want to tell you about a way to save a lot of money on one of the best new off-the-grid products of 2017. And seriously, I really think everyone should have one of these. I'm talking about the PPX solar generator system from our friends at Solutions from Science, one of our oldest sponsors. The PPX is so small you can put it in your pocket, but so powerful you can run some 110 appliances at your house, like a small refrigerator, so you can keep food from spoiling. Plus, you can take it with you to jumpstart cars, trucks, buses, 18-wheelers, heavy equipment, even airplanes. The system provides an endless supply of off-the-grid electricity, allowing you to create your own private power grid, literally anywhere in the world. Perfect for cabins, remote locations, anytime you need to get off the grid for a while. Go to privatepowergrid.com to watch this thing in action. That's privatepowergrid.com. Even better, use coupon code POWER at checkout and get a second PPX energy unit for free. Check it out at privatepowergrid.com. That's privatepowergrid.com.
There's a crisis
crisis in America today. Tens of millions of us are addicted to cell phones. These little devices, according to many university studies and more, cause health risks such as depression, cancer, and social anxiety. How can we prevent these harmful devices from harming us and our families? I have the answer for you today. It's called the Block It Pocket. The Block It Pocket works by securing your phone in its safe, no radiation compartment. I use the Block It Pocket every day to protect me from harmful radiation and prevent others from stealing my stuff. Online, your entire persona is visible. Your credit card numbers, your email, everything about you that a criminal can use to hack and buy things under your name. With the Block It Pocket, this isn't possible. It blocks those harmful signals so that you can be safe. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today and make sure to secure your very own Block It Pocket.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Strange days have found us. Strange days have tracked us down. They're going to...
I just can't get over looking at Kim Jong-un's face. He is such a pathetic, empty, nobody wimp, given power hereditarily over his horribly oppressed, enslaved people. And then I go to CNN's website, and they've got articles where North Korea is the victim and Donald Trump's bad. And we're not even trying to look. Oh, MIT's putting out textbooks on how to teach kids in elementary school how to be communist. These people are truly sickening. So, let me get to this key point in your phone calls. I'm not an apologist for Trump. I know how far the liberty movement's come. It was the awakening to globalism, the awakening to the unelected worldwide crony capitalist system that brought Trump to where he is. He rode in on that wave, just as you see Le Pen and so many others, and the whole Brexit. So this is about human self-determination and not wanting to be under some unelected corporate empire. So we've had great victories over political correctness, over the controlled corporate press. We've had massive victories on so many fronts. Trump is not going to be perfect, and governing, he's going to have to compromise. I said if he got 30-40% done of what he promised to do, I'd be amazed. He's already gotten that done 80-something days into office. And then I specifically go look on what he's flip-flopping. He told us what he's going to do. It's not a flip-flop. If the economy turns on once he gets elected, and in the last 4+ months, the dollar goes up like 20%, then he says, oh, well, China hasn't lowered theirs anymore now, actually rose theirs, so it's not a problem now. That's because it's not a problem now. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, the dollar's probably too strong. But I don't want a weak dollar. The point is, it's so strong right now that that is going to end up obviously hurting our economy in many, many ways. We're dealing with exports. We're dealing with people, coming here and building factories. The economy was going into a stall, and then Trump's trying to flood it with gas. But you can also, again, put too much gas in there and end up stalling the engine completely. So, he criticizes China in all the different ways they're screwing us over. That's just one. Dumping their products on the market, having it be state-sponsored and backed, having no regulations. He's hitting them with all sorts of executive orders already doing all sorts of things to bring our jobs back. You see it happening. But he says, actually, on the dollar now, it's my fault. We've caused such exuberance. The world believes in America so much now. The dollar's one of the strongest points it's ever been. And so China's actually raised their currency some, so at this point it's not a problem. It was a problem. That problem's not a problem. That's not a flip-flop. That's a course correction. Then they say, oh, in all these articles, oh, he wants to keep interest rates low. Trump has agreed with keeping interest rates low. He just wants you to get the low interest loans, not have mega banks hoard trillions and then loan it to you at 20%. Trump is trying to pressure the Federal Reserve to keep it at zero, or close to zero, it's above that obviously, for as long as possible till the economy gets going, until the people actually get some of that credit. That's what you do to turn an economy back on. This is all just 101, simple known stuff he's doing. So that's not a flip-flop. But notice, you get a lot of the alternative media can show how true blue they are by exposing Trump, picking up and basically rewriting the articles that are put out by David Axelrod, CNN, BBC. And it just goes on from there. But I'll tell you one thing Trump has so far broken his promise on. And that is repealing Obamacare. That monstrosity that he tried to get people to go for was bad. Not as bad as the other, but still not what he promised. So, strike one, Mr. Trump, on a big one. Now, the good news is he's working with Senator Paul, and he's working with others in the House, and they're saying that they think they're going to have a really good bill. It's something that Rand Paul will go for. That is a lot better than Obamacare and a lot better than the last bill. And so that's good. That's exciting. So from labeling China a currency manipulator, he says now they've stopped doing it. Yellen's future, he was saying she's doing a horrible job. She's done a bunch of things to only help the elite. Now if she does what he says, he's saying maybe he'll let her stay. You're a horrible person. I'm going to fire you if you don't do a better job. Oh, you're starting to do what I want? Okay, maybe you can stay. That's not flip-flopping. That's called management. He doesn't want to alienate these people. Look, I don't like the globals. I think he should fire them all. Then they'll just probably kill him. Export-Import Bank. Trump also voiced support behind the Export-Import Bank, which helped subsidize some U.S. exports after opposing it during the campaign. It's a ridiculous thing, but actually it's a very good thing. It actually makes money. It could make a lot of money. So he's now looking at that, trying to subsidize our exports. I don't think it's a good idea, but you have to get rid of all the unfair stuff against us that's 20 times to 1 before we get rid of ours. I mean, he really is going into each little issue, studying it, and doing the best thing from my perspective. NATO. Now, listen. He spanked NATO saying, why are you not paying? And why is South Korea and Japan not paying? And now they've agreed to pay more. And NATO now shares its intelligence with the United States. And now it's not just running around doing whatever it wants to. So now Trump goes, good. We fund half of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. You're good boy now. That's not flip-flopping. That's executing. He cut the funding to the UN by 50%. That's delivering. He told the FBI to stop doing all their fake investigations of patriots, saying we're the #1 threat, and focus on Islam. He got a very conservative judge appointed to the Supreme Court. Imagine what we would have had with Hillary. And again, I'm not even defending all of this. I'm saying if you look at it from a pragmatic view, America's open for business. America isn't taking any bull. America has its own sovereignty. We're not under UN or North American Union. We're renegotiating all these deals where they're good for everybody, two-way streets. That's what I've been saying for decades. That's a Trump quote. It's not that Trump and I are like synced or anything, except we're synced on common sense. We need trade that's two-way streets, not one-way street. And you're seeing the globalists. Our Federal Reserve controls the World Bank. The IMF's basically European. And they were trying to raise interest rates massively to stall the economy and saying it 2 months ago to stop Trump. Now they're backing off, you notice. And Trump's like, oh, maybe you can stay now. Now here's the big curveball, and I'll go to your calls. Has Trump been threatened? Well, you know the COG system to overthrow him has been set up. The Democrats are shopping, assassinating him all over the news, knowing it's in trouble. They're openly trying to get the Pentagon to talk about declaring the election fraudulent and removing all Republicans elected. That's officially in major Democratic publications like Atlantic Monthly. They're pushing that deep state mole's government plan to overthrow Trump. So Trump is trying to basically give lip service to these people. And he is making a more aggressive turn towards Russia and towards China ahead of negotiations, but also to strengthen his hand domestically with all this fake garbage that if you don't want war with Russia, you're a Russian agent. Well, Well, you shut down that oil field fire like Red Adair would do by rolling in a bunch of TNT and having an explosion that knocks the fire out. And that's the word from the president. And I told you that Sunday, and you saw him say it 2 days later, is that he's trying to stop that war through strength and trying to stop North Korea through strength, which are obviously testing and challenging him. And he's rising to the challenge and cleaning up Obama's mess and the globalist mess. Now, rhetoric-wise, he's turned 20, 30 degrees. In action, he's not really turned much at all. But seeing Bannon as the whipping boy, the word I get is, at least a few days ago, is that's smoke and mirrors, folks. That Bannon's not going anywhere, that's all for consumption by the left at this point as a psyop to think that Trump is falling under their control and their dominion. But then other experts say, no, it's Jared Kushner and the Democrats. They want him out completely, and it's just standard power struggles that are going on. So why is everybody talking about the United States right now, not the rest of the world? Because we had a little bit of freedom, and so we produced the most inventions, the most wealth, the most military power, the most cultural power, whether it's good or bad, pretty bad now, isn't it, in the world, because we were not a feudalistic, stratified system. And we're rotting, and we're decadent, and we're corrupt. We got problems. Because we inherited so much power. We're like Kim Jong-un. America's like Kim Jong-un. A lot of us are. I am, in many respects, compared to some of my ancestors. Now, you can see Kim Jong-un's ancestors weren't much, so look what he is. So, those of us that still have something, well, that's because we're running off fumes of genetics that were put in the bank through long struggle. So that's where I stand on Trump. I'd like to hear where you think we are on this. But the good news is we know their battle tactic. They want to demoralize us like we've been betrayed and Trump screwed everybody over. Globalism's in retreat all over the world. Nation states are rising. Communism is being looked down on worse than ever. It's a disaster in Cuba, Venezuela, everywhere. People are hungry for freedom. They're hungry. People understand the family's under attack. Christianity is beginning to make a comeback in many parts of the world. There's a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of really negative, bad things happening with genetic engineering, the secretive programs that I know Trump's aware of now, that hopefully he'll try to stop the manipulation of our atmosphere. We're going to cover so much of it here today. Look at the story out of AFP. Syria's Assad says chemical attack 100% fabrication. And he goes on to say, why would I do that when we're winning the war? Why would I do that when I gave it up to the Russians and you knew where they were? Why are you doing this? We're going to play those clips coming up. And why are you buying into this? And why are you fighting on the side of Al-Qaeda/ISIS? And they've been caught before. What a bold, crazy move to do another false flag when they've been caught red-handed once, partially 4 other times. Again, thank God our attention span is so short. Well, it's not short for a large segment of the public, Gruber. Then they say, why do you love Syria? Why do you love Assad? I don't. He didn't start the war. Yeah, look at this. Just breaking on DrudgeReport.com. It's also up on Infowars.com. U.S. drops massive non-nuclear bomb in combat for first time. Wow. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff Trump's doing, but he didn't tell you about it. You know, on the news, they'll show you the weapons that were coming before the wars and where they'd hit. Now it's the massive ordnance, GBU-43M, massive ordnance air blast. It's a large yield conventional non-nuclear bomb developed by the United States military. Air Force Research Laboratory. At the time of the development, it was touted as the most powerful non-nuclear bomb ever. The bomb was designed to be delivered by a C-130 Hercules, primarily the MC-130E Combat Talon. Russia's tested now an even bigger bomb, but there it is, and it goes over what it does. Let's show some of the videos on YouTube of that if we can, of it detonating and the things that end up happening there. So, as you can see, this is a major offensive to drive out ISIS and Al-Qaeda and defeat them in Iraq and in Syria. And as long as Trump's doing that, I totally back it because he's cleaning up Obama's mess. All right, I'm going to come back and go right to Brooke and Hugh and Corey and Steve and Scott and others. But I want to just hit briefly the things that Trump has not done. He's not repealed Obamacare. I don't expect him to get it done the first couple hundred days, but he backed something that wasn't good and wasn't what he promised. So boom, that was bad. He's pushing really hard for middle class tax cuts. Great, that's wonderful. Hope he gets it done. Shouldn't compromise. And he said that he would direct, obviously, Sessions. That should be done, but it's not really his job to direct Sessions. That's why he had to pull back. To go after Hillary Clinton criminally. Of course, he called her crooked Hillary. Now she's guilty Hillary. So what's he saying there? So it's a good sign that he may now follow through. The only promise he totally broke was agreeing to that bill. We don't know yet what's going to happen with Hillary. He hasn't broken it yet. So him coming out yesterday, guilty Hillary has been saved by the FBI. That's on Infowars.com yesterday. Of course, he wrote another article about it saying, look, keep your promise. This is what we need. This is how you drain the swamp. So let's play a clip of him again on Fox Business talking about guilty Hillary. Hillary for president 2017. Here it is.
Well, people are still wondering, though, they're scratching their heads why so many Obama-era staffers are still here. For example, was it a mistake not to ask Jim Comey to step down from the FBI at the outset of your presidency? Is it too late now to ask him to step down?
No, it's not too late, but, I have confidence in him. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, but, we have to just, look, I have so many people that want to come into this administration. They're so excited about this administration and what's happening. Bankers, law enforcement people, everybody wants to come into this administration. Don't forget, when Jim Comey came out, he saved Hillary Clinton. People don't realize that. He saved her life because I call it Comey 1. And I joke about it a little bit. When he was reading those charges, she was guilty on every charge. And then he said she was essentially okay.
Well, that's why I'm asking, why is he still
I'm just saying, well, because I want to give everybody a good, fair chance. Director Comey was very, very good to Hillary Clinton, that I can tell you. If he weren't, she would be right now going to trial.
There you go. We're going to come back and take your calls directly. So that's a big deal for him to say that. That signals a lot. And it's not even vindictiveness. She's an open criminal, a Russian/Chinese agent. Confirmed, and then accusing everybody of doing stuff she did. Nail her, man. I'm under investigation, literally being run by the Russians. That is the most ridiculous crap. She met secretly with Putin. She got all that money. She sold us out. By the way, we've got one of the biggest specials ever. It supports the broadcast. I want to thank you all for your support on dozens of our great nutraceuticals at InfoWarsStore.com. InfoWarsLife.com takes you right to the supplement page. And that's running through Easter, the Easter special. Help fund the InfoWar, get the very best nutraceuticals out there, and hopefully share them with your family. Brain Force, 30% off. 25% off Super Mineral Vitality. 25% off Vitamin Mineral Fusion Fruit Punch. Great for your kids especially. A bunch of other stuff is massively discounted. InfoWarsStore.com. 40% off on the Pro Pure Nomad Stainless Steel System. Gravity-fed filter, unprecedented as well. And we're getting ready to sell out of the Super Blue non-fluoride iodine with nano silver bubblegum flavor test run for kids. Folks love it. We're getting great reviews. Get that before it sells out.
They say I want to tell you about some of the products at InfoWarsStore.com. We are under constant attack. You know it by now from the mainstream media. They're trying to attack us on every level now with the YouTube scandal. They're demonetizing our channels, which again takes a huge chunk out of our income, which is why we always appreciate and rely on you getting the products, because that's how we stay afloat. They can't get to us that way. They can't pressure you to not buy the products. They don't have that power. And that's why you're the key to this entire operation. We have Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, bubblegum flavor, just arrived at InfoWarsStore.com. This is by listener request. Bubblegum flavored Super Blue toothpaste now available at InfoWarsStore.com in limited supply. Again, If you're not using fluoride-free toothpaste by now, then you're absolutely insane. Harvard studies, it reduces IQ, it causes bone cancer. It's not great, let's just put it that way, and I've been using it for about, 15 years now? So you're going to buy it anyway, why not buy it from us? It's in limited supply, but it is available at InfoWarsStore.com with the new bubblegum flavour, Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, and it supports this network, which is under constant demonization and attack, because we don't take big fat checks from George Soros. We don't get put on extremist list even though they want us to. That's how they're taking away the YouTube money. That's why we need your support more than ever, because we're not funded by giant corporations who are now pulling the plug on YouTube as they move it into a TV thing, a Netflix model, to drown out independent voices. So support us by getting the products at InfoWarsStore.com.
I'm going to commit blasphemy against the globalists right now in the New World Order. I'm going to tell all of you that we're celebrating the Christian holiday of Easter, our risen Christ, on the third day, by having some of the biggest specials ever at InfoWarsStore.com on amazing supplements. You know, mainstream media demonizes us for selling high-quality organic supplements that are game changers, while they have all the poison, big pharma drug ads all day, sitting there poisoning the people. What a shameful group of wicked devils. Ladies and gentlemen, our Christ raised from the dead on the third day. And our republic can rise from the dead if we wake up to what the globalists are doing and if you support independent free media. There's never been a better time to support InfoWars with these specials at InfoWarsLife.com, because it's all about life. Get the products, whether it's water filtration, nutraceuticals, Patriot apparel, you name it, it's all available at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Has had her headquarters in Paris firebombed. Much of the city's no-go zones now, with Islamists burning stuff down every night, raping, murdering, running over folks with vehicles in every major European city, and they will arrest you in Europe if you criticize Islam or say it's behind it. Literally, she's under indictment for saying Muslims are killing French. That's political correctness. That's like when Cuomo a few months ago said, look, if your daughter in school doesn't want to see a man's genitals, she's homophobic. You're transphobic. I don't hate people that are trans or whatever, but you shouldn't be a man, in a bathroom with a 6-year-old girl. Come on. You're trying to sell things through political correctness to just break our will. We know what's going on. It's like Dave Chappelle's been making fun of all this stuff, and so they're calling him homophobic now. It's ridiculous. It's bullies. It has nothing to do with the trans people or whatever. It has to do with thought police controlling our world and not letting us stand up against a bunch of bullies trying to tell us we don't have free speech. We do. And you anti-liberals need to understand that. Liberal means you want more speech, more ideas. But the colleges now are literal brainwashing camps. Let's go to your phone calls. Brooke in Delaware. You're on the air broadcasting worldwide. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Alex. First, I just want to say I love what you're doing. I'm so appreciative.
Thank you.
I've been a Trump supporter since day one, and I do feel a little bit conned. But I don't think Jared Kushner is really the one pulling the strings. The person I'm watching is McMaster.
Oh, certainly militarily. He's tried to kind of suck Trump into a larger war, and Trump has come out and directly cut that off. And then you can tell it wasn't disinfo talking out of both sides of their mouth, because then they all started parroting what the president said. Go ahead.
It's just so convenient to me that McMaster has Petraeus, who we know supported Hillary Clinton, and has people like Susan Rice on his side tweeting him that, I hope you find a great replacement for General Flynn. come to find out, Susan Rice is the one who released information on General Flynn. War is money, and we all know that, right? And people are so money hungry, so power hungry. But again, McMaster is the one that I'm 100% worried about.
Sure, let's break down how this works. These generals retired, say 63, 65, and then they go get $5, $10, $20, $30 million a year contracts, sometimes more, heading up major defense companies and making huge amounts of money off of it. And so it is kind of like a delayed payback, and that's why it's important we're all here keeping the president honest, focusing on what's happening. But his rhetoric has changed some now that he's governing. But do you agree with me that it's key that they don't want him turning the economy back on? They don't want him making small businesses important again. They don't want him speaking up against political correctness. They don't want him cutting all this funding for all these brainwashing groups over our kids and cutting the UN funding by half. I mean, he's making real dents in the globalist program and bringing power back to America. Does that mean then his execution of power is perfect? Absolutely not. And that's the issue. But at least we're seeing the death of globalism and the return of nationalism. What do you say to that?
I agree 100%. And like people listening have to remember, these neocons, the Democrats, the elitists, they want us to be dumb and broke and poor with nothing. And
Trump's the guy that makes his money off service. He wants largesse. He's like the ghost of Christmas, present or something. And again, he's not flip-flopping on these deals. The economy's changed. Things have changed. The dollar went up. He also went into negotiations hard, then gets a bunch of what we want. It's all business. It's very pragmatic. Now, you can judge that, but just know what it is. A great call, man. Thank you, Brooke.
Remember Lois Lerner? The Lois Lerner who was director of the Exempt Organizations Unit of the IRS? The Lois Lerner who has the same haircut as Sugar in No Country for Old Men? The woman who was under investigation for denying conservative groups tax-exempt status, or delaying their status until after Obama's election in 2012. Well, she got off scot-free after the original investigation found no evidence, but skeptical of that rigged outcome, Representative Peter Roskam and Representative Kevin Brady have requested that the new Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, take another look into the evidence withstanding against Lerner. Here's Representative Roskam.
But we're convinced that the prior administration was completely dismissive of the referral from the Congress that said, we believe Lois Lerner committed crimes. The Ways and Means Committee is asserting that Lois Lerner is likely to have committed a crime in the denial of due process and equal protection by targeting individuals based on their political philosophy. The notion of weaponizing the IRS is so corrosive to our democracy, we ought not let the statute of limitations lapse without taking another look at it.
For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
Another world, another time, in the age of wonder. Another world, another time. His life was green and good.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the Resistance. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
So, did the swamp get to President Donald Trump? It was Drudge, always with a way with words, that said, the swamp drains him. I mean, you saw the first crack in him not delivering. And he's delivered so good on so many things. It's already so much better than anything I ever saw. They want to break the base away from Trump and then exacerbate anything they say is a flip-flop. The dollar explodes in value. The Chinese raised theirs, something Trump wanted, and he goes, they're no longer manipulating currency, so for now, I'm not going to have a currency war. They call it a flip-flop. That was Trump getting what he said he'd do and making them stop screwing us on that one point. And he's signing a bunch of executive orders now on their dumping cheap goods and blocking our goods coming in. I mean, he is taking them to the woodshed. So, that's the truth. I'm not just some apologist. Trump doesn't sign my paychecks. I'm doing what I believe is good for the country and the future of the world and my children and hopefully your children. But you're going to make the decision. So the question is the swamp draining him? Has the swamp gotten to Trump? As Mike in Wyoming asked there on the board. We're going to go to him in a moment. Well, yeah, he's having to wade into the swamp to actually drain it. He's having to go into a goblin's nest, He's going to have a goblin guide to take him into Mordor. And I don't care if he gets a little bit of goblin blood on him or something, but I don't want to catch him in bed with a goblin. Remember that little rant I did that went viral, like 20 million views or something just on YouTube alone? 9 million on some other channel. Hilarious. They're like, Jones is crazy. He thinks Trump's having sex with goblins. It's called an analogy. No, it's a famous meme. I tell you, man, the media is so deceptive. They take analogies we do and then say they're real. Jones believes goblins live under the Capitol. That's a good question. So let's ask Mike. Is the swamp draining Trump? What do you think's going on, Mike?
My suspicion is that they've gotten to Trump between the incursions onto the White House lawn and this episode with the Secret Service agent conveniently leaving all the blueprints and other security access codes on a laptop for someone to steal out of her car. I think they've sent a not so subtle message to him that we can get you and your family anytime we want, and I think he's caved in, at least to some extent. Maybe he's cut a deal where he said, "I'll leave me the domestic front, and you guys can take over on the foreign policy front."
Well, that's what I asked. That's what I said at the very start of the broadcast. I said, is he co-opting them? Are they co-opting him? Is he diluting himself as he begins to change course, at least in some areas, because he's been intimidated, because he's been threatened, because they let the media organize all over the news his murder, his death, things that are criminal felonies? But then I joke about punching somebody in the nose, to defend my honor, like I'm Foghorn Leghorn or something, or Porky Pig, and they say, oh, arrest Alex Jones. Absolutely. I think that's gotten to him because that's where his wife and his son live, the blueprints. And who believes that a high-level Secret Service agent leaves that in a car and then it just gets robbed?
Not me, for sure.
Mike, stay there. Mike's been calling for 18 years. Mike's a doctor, medical doctor, and he's been a guest on before. And he has always had great points. He rarely gets on the show. So I'm going to come back to Mike, have him lay this out where he thinks it's going. Smart guy. And we're going to go to Corey, Steve, Scott. Hugh's up next after Mike, though. So stay with us. Remember Doug Hagman of the Northeast Intelligence Network, and of course he's a law enforcement training group and also a well-known, respected private detective who comes highly recommended over the years from our sources. He has FBI sources, also state police sources, and others in multiple states there on the East Coast. So, Doug Hagman, thank you for joining us. You look at the battlefront worldwide, the globalist forces, we're in a war right now.
Exactly, and that's part of it. And when I look at my side of the things, on the domestic side, what I'm hearing from my FBI sources, one confirmation I got from both an FBI source as well as an agency source or CIA source is saying, watch the role of the National Geospatial Agency, the NGA, as well as the NSA in the upcoming days with respect to the leaks that are coming, or that had come out about the Trump administration, but also information that has yet to come out that will be dropped here within the next couple of weeks. There's more to come with respect to the allegations of not Donald Trump and the Russians, but the other members of the previous regime, Obama, Jarrett, in particular Valerie Jarrett, with respect to Iran and Russia.
We're about to have nuclear war, folks. It's time to arrest Hillary Clinton. We've got to save the country. The world's never been in more danger. They're the ones that made everything radical. Kim Jong-un, Hillary, all these other scumbags, Juncker, all of them need to be arrested. They're all calling for war. They're all involved in criminal activity. Arrest all of them. I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I 100% behind you, because they brought us to this point, and they have sold us out. The Korean situation. So we've got this melting pot this really sewage pot of strife worldwide that was brought. We got to this point because of Obama and right now. And Clinton, especially, and by the way, Hillary Clinton played a significant role under Madeleine Albright during the Clinton presidency as the Shadow Secretary of State to bring us to this point as well, and then moving on as Secretary of State under Obama. So this has her fingerprints all over the place, and here we are, at this level. So there's much more to get into, but watch the next really 72 to 96 hours with respect to the taps.
Why would they want to not have Russia on our side during this China crisis? Why are they trying to bring Russia down?
Well, chaos, Operation Chaos, basically. This is the same playbook that we used, or that the globalists used back in the 60s, is being used today, and it's everybody against everybody. Let's burn the whole damn thing down, and started from scratch. It's very imprudent to do that, obviously, but these people that we're dealing with, as you point out, they're psychos.
Before America can be great again, she must be free again. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
We're now into hour number 2. Doug Hagman, investigator, will be joining us coming up in the next segment. We'll continue with calls to break some very important intel. We have so much new news breaking that I'm going to be going over at the bottom of the hour. But right now, we're talking about the big issue. The talking point from the BBC, the talking point from CNN, ABC News, but also the independent media is Trump is totally flip-flopped. It's over. He just reversed 5 policies. And that's not what happened. He negotiated 5 policies, and in all 5 cases, it massively helped the United States, and he got huge concessions from Mexico, China, the EU, NATO, you name it. And I'm not bashing Zero Heads. They're great folks. But their article is a rewrite of a Democratic Party talking point that has been splattered everywhere. But here's the bigger issue. The Secret Service high-level lady accidentally leaves her laptop and stuff with all the codes to the Trump Tower and the White House and where they go and the security procedures in her car, so somebody breaks in and gets it. Who believes that? That's felony-level dereliction of duty. It sounds like espionage. Oh, I'm just sure she did that. Whatever. I'll believe that when you proved me the moon's made of Swiss cheese. Green Swiss cheese at that. So I read over these 5 points. NATO. They're announcing they're going to pay more. They're announcing they're going to give us all the intelligence. They're going to stop bossing us around having NATO. Remember 3 years ago when Obama was saying he had authorization from NATO to strike Syria and the UN? Trump's like, you get the authorization from Congress and from the presidency and from the emergency here in our country. You don't get it from some foreign organization. He made NATO roll over. Yellen's now doing what he says. I don't trust her. She'll still get rid of her. And then China's currency's gone up because ours exploded, and now there's not a big currency issue currently, and Trump says they've stopped manipulating the last 2 months. It's true, because they couldn't, because the dollar went so high, they had to start raising it. So these aren't flip-flops. These were negotiations. On health care, he gave us a stinker. He lied to us on that, and he tried to bully the Freedom Caucus, who are great people, the backbone of what's left of this country, to restore it. And that was wrong. Trump was wrong. I'll call him out in a second. Now, going back to Mike, who's a longtime caller, been calling for like 18 years, medical doctor. He's been a guest on the show, been a consultant to us. Mike's calling in and saying he's concerned that the swamp got him. Didn't drain him, got him, threatening his wife, threatening his kids. The media allowing the threats. We put up a major newspaper saying, kill Trump. COG Democrats, the former deputy head of the Defense Department, shopping an overthrow of Trump and saying it could be legal and lawful, saying everyone that was elected were Russian spies, and that all Republicans who were elected, even in state houses in the 2016 election, that massive sweep, they will all be removed from office and new elections will be held overseen by Homeland Security. I've talked to folks that have talked to Trump, and I've talked to Trump, but not on that subject. Well, I guess I have. But he's very, very fatalistic and says, I'm not stopping, I'm stubborn, I'm doing it. But subconsciously, could he start to bend a little bit? I mean, I've had my family threatened, and it's very hard not to bend to it. I haven't been. I'm not bragging. I'm just, and it's not because I'm pig-headed or even have courage. There's no future if we don't do this for anybody. I know in my gut and my spirit, if I don't go all in, my kids have no future. We're all in this together, folks. So let's go back to Mike. Mike, you're always a humble guy, but you got the floor for a few minutes here. Give us your really informed view of this.
Well, you know him better than I do, for sure. I've sent, I don't know how many tweets and emails and correspondence through the White House website. And incidentally, I would like you to address at some point what's the best way to actually get through to him. But the danger I see is that even if you're right, and he's just too clever for all of them, if he surrounds himself with all these establishment figures, and even Ed Rollins, whose establishment as you get, I was watching him on Lou Dobbs last night, and he admitted that Trump is surrounding himself with establishment, hacks. And that was an amazing confession to me. At some point, all one has to do is remove Trump from the scene. You put in Pence, and you've got your whole NWO agenda in place. So he's setting himself for calamity, I'm afraid. A couple questions. How does he break through the logjam of these security clearances to get his people moving into the slots that are vacant right
That's
now?
right. That's what they're doing. They've got everybody intimidated with this Russia fiction, except the Democrats actually are involved themselves. So they're controlling the security clearances and just blocking any patriots. It's a deep state coup against Trump. That's how you know Trump's real. But let me walk through all the points you made because they're absolutely on target, being 110%. Is he draining the swamp or is it draining him? Is he co-opting them or are they co-opting him? They're acting like, even though he's putting them in positions of power, that they're going to slit his throat. They're going to stab him in the back. They're already betraying him. They already go out and leak information. They already go out, like you just mentioned, even though they're part of the establishment, and say, oh, look, he's betraying. He's part of the establishment. They're celebrating it. People like Newt Gingrich are like, oh, Bannon's going to be out because, yeah, he's a pirate, but, now he's in the government, so we can't have pirates in the government. So we see all this sycophantic garbage. They don't like what Trump stood for, whether he's real or not, and I believe he is real. So they must destroy that image. So I agree. He's got to get rid of Yellen and all these people, because if he leaves them in power and then he makes them do his will, they're going to hate him even that much, sitting there in the positions of power, knowing now, though, they're actually being made to serve the American people. Because you look at what he's doing economically, he is flipping all the right switches to cause a roaring next decade in the face of a global attempt to implode the economy. So we're in quite a paradigm, right? A paradox. This is an amazing time right now to be alive, Mike. And so, believe me, your last point goes to the center of this. How do you get a hold of Trump? I learned through the NSA leaks that we got from Arpaio that was real, because I had his number at Mar-a-Lago, his actual apartment number. I never called it. I was given it. I just didn't call it. I knew the numbers in New York are really his numbers. And so I knew my number was real, and Michael Savage's number was real. It was just crazy. They were spying on all of us and still are. But hell, the FBI admits they are. I'm under criminal investigation. I guess they're doing that now to cover their ass, because what they were doing was illegal before. But how do you get a hold of him? He calls you, and then Reince Priebus is on the phone, or somebody else is. And because they tell him, national security, sir, these people are under investigation as Russians, And so we have to be on the phone when you call the Russians. And so that's how they've got him like a Chinese emperor in the Forbidden City. His feet are bound. His fingernails are 2 feet long. He's not allowed to feed himself. That's the position they're trying to put him in when he was photographed a month ago, bear crawling up a hill to his golf ball at 70 years old. I mean, he is a piece of work. And he's a throwback, too. He's not like the big, super muscular Superman at 70. He's, the pot-bellied kind of Fred Flintstone tough guy. I mean, it's pure Americana. And they have got him so isolated, so surrounded, and then he sneaks away. I mean, for a while, you could call this number, and I knew about before it was in the news. People didn't believe it when the Washington Post broke it. I don't know why they broke it, because then everybody knew about it. Trump had the direct White House number, and then an extension. And then he'll sit there at night randomly picking the phone up to see what people are saying. It's the wildest thing ever. And I only called it a few times because it was so weird, and I never got a hold of him on it. But then once I left the message, and then later when I talked to him, he brought up the message. I mean, the guy's wild. I mean, all I can say is I'm 43, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm in bed. And he really is craving learning how to go on the internet. And by learning, and he calls it the clips. And so he goes to YouTube, he goes to InfoWars, he goes to Drudge. But he also goes to the New York Times and stuff. He cares what they say, too. I mean, it's crazy. And so that's what's going on. And so, yes, notice they don't let positive tweets go to the top where he can read them. So then he had to be told, you notice you never see positive tweets. And he's like, yeah, and I go down over 100 pages, you'll see it. And he's digging in to find the positive tweets. It's not that he needs affirmation. He really wants to hear what you think. And so they're doing everything they can to isolate him. Mike, what do you think we do?
We pray a lot. I was talking to a friend down in Arizona the other day, and who had kind of given up and saw this as analogous to the Reagan situation after Bush had Reagan shot and almost killed, and after that he was pretty well under control. But like I told my friend, he's the only game in town. So all we can do is pray that he keeps it under control, and that he starts putting some good people in place around him to protect the White House. And I think he needs to call on the special ops guys, the real military, not these skunks like McMaster, to clean house.
No, I agree. If I was Trump, and this was certainly discussed, I would have swept in constitutionally. The globalists are the foreign power. I would be saying, you're the enemy, you're indicted, you're investigated, they'll have juries. And I would have just been removing everybody, because they're trying to kill him. They're trying to overthrow him day one. He's trying to restore the republic. They're trying to block him, and they're not going to coexist. Trump's got to, in fact, every time I talk to Trump, I say, sir, I told you they're not going to back off. I told you got to go after him. And finally the word is they're getting ready to drop the hammer on Hillary and others, and they are rounding pedophiles up everywhere. Mike, we love you, brother. Thanks for calling in. I'm going to commit blasphemy against the globalists right now in the New World Order. I'm going to tell all of you that we're celebrating the Christian holiday of Easter, our risen Christ, on the third day, by having some of the biggest specials ever at InfoWarsStore.com on amazing supplements. You know, mainstream media demonizes us for selling high-quality organic supplements that are game changers, while they have all the poison, big pharma drug ads all day, sitting there poisoning the people. What a shameful group of wicked devils. Ladies and gentlemen, our Christ raised from the dead on the third day. And our republic can rise from the dead if we wake up to what the globalists are doing, and if you support independent free media. There's never been a better time to support InfoWars with these specials at InfoWarsLife.com, because it's all about life. Get the products, whether it's water filtration, nutraceuticals, Patriot apparel, you name it, it's all available at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Talk show host is Alex Jones. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Deeply, I think, racist.
I just got called racist by MSNBC.
I don't want that man to have a gun.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
The Alex Jones Show. Watch the free stream live at Infowars.com/show.
Remember Lois Lerner? The Lois Lerner who was director of the Exempt Organizations Unit of the IRS? The Lois Lerner who has the same haircut as Sugar in No Country for Old Men? The woman who was under investigation for denying conservative groups tax-exempt status, or delaying their status until after Obama's election in 2012. Well, she got off scot-free after the original investigation found no evidence, but skeptical of that rigged outcome, Representative Peter Roskam and Representative Kevin Brady have requested that the new Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, take another look into the evidence withstanding against Lerner. Here's Representative Roskam.
But we're convinced that the prior administration was completely dismissive of the referral from the Congress that said, we believe Lois Lerner committed crimes. The Ways and Means Committee is asserting that Lois Lerner is likely to have committed a crime in the denial of due process and equal protection by targeting individuals based on their political philosophy. The notion of weaponizing the IRS is so corrosive to our democracy, we ought not let the statute of limitations lapse without taking another look at it.
From Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
You think our information is hardcore? You think our focus is brutal? Try our nutraceuticals. Try our supplements. We've taken Brain Force and made it Brain Force Plus. Now at 20% more in the bottle and an even more hardcore formula. You owe it to yourself to get these products. They really have worked for myself, my family. They have 5-star reviews by the thousands. Secure your Brain Force Plus today at InfoWarsLife.com. Now 20% stronger. Again, InfoWarsLife.com. Let's go to Devin in Florida. Devin in Florida, you're on the air.
Great. Hey, thank you so much. Listen, I have bought your product, and I gotta say they're amazing. Anyone who's on the fence, buy it, because I've got Caveman, Superman Vitality, Secret 12, Vitamin Mineral Fusion. I've got the body armor.
Wow, thank you.
Wow.
You're the type of listener that makes it all possible. Which nutraceutical does you like best?
I really like the Vitamin Mineral Fusion, to be honest. That's amazing. Really incredible. I drank it in the morning, and I swear to you, I felt incredible. Like I haven't felt in weeks. My morning was fantastic, and I love you guys. I love the InfoWars crew, and I just want to, I want to take this opportunity to tell anybody out there who's on the fence, just buy it. You will love it. I'm telling you, I've never bought a bad product.
What you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLife.com. It's a win-win. InfoWarsLife.com.
Some kind of way out of here.
We're going to continue with your calls throughout the hour. Riding shotgun with us is a talk show host in his own right and investigator, Doug Hagman. And we've got so much to get to. Up front, I want to ask Doug the topic that we were just discussing earlier. Death threats on the family, the Secret Service agent having the documents stolen, and the blueprints for Trump Tower. Is the swamp beginning to drain Trump? Is the question, and where do we expect this to go? I mean, I see him really delivering on a lot of fronts, but at least on the surface, rhetoric-wise, he is appearing to be a lot more established. And we understand the candidate and the way you're going to govern are at least somewhat different, but if he's fulfilling promises to bring back our sovereignty, then it shouldn't be too much different. I've got to say, overall, I'm very pleased with the domestic situation. I'm watching what's happening with Korea and other areas. But Doug Hagman, what is your intel on all this?
I didn't catch that, Alex.
I'm sorry, Doug. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
What is your intel on the state of the world right now?
Well, I think that I think what's happening right now is people have a tendency to look at everything, every move that is made by Donald Trump as through the lens of a microscope, as opposed to just a wider view. And I think that people have to understand that we've been in captivity bondage for multiple administrations, including the illegitimate two-term presidency of Barack Hussein Obama. So Donald Trump getting in that office, having won the election, of course, the attempt here is going to be to delegitimize his presidency. Now, I apologize if that's a little bit off script from what you were saying, because I didn't hear anything. However, therefore, it's easy for all of us, one and all, to get a little bit confused or a little bit concerned about, for example, his response in Syria, which is definitely one should take notice about that particular response and falling for, or ostensibly falling for a false flag, perhaps, in his response with North Korea, or anticipated response there. But I think that we have to take a few steps back and look at the fact that there are multiple organizations that have been entrenched and established over the period of decades, if not 3/4 of a century, to compromise that particular office. So that's the environment. That's the coliseum that Donald Trump walked into and had taken over. And he is facing opposition from within and from without. And the various opposition pieces, or the various opposition chess pieces, I should say, include members of his own party, members of his inner circle, and, of course, the obvious and known opponents. So you've got this you've got this very hostile environment facing Donald Trump. So, and again, we're very quick to manage microcosmically everything that we see him doing and saying, well, man, he's sold off. Now, there's some... I'm
going to steal that term, microcosmically. That's an awesome term.
I'm not even sure if that's a word, but...
it is. No, I mean, it is. It's okay, a compound word.
Okay, but nonetheless, so what we're seeing here is, to me, at least from my sources, and I've been talking with people inside D.C., not the military, and I want to make that clear. I'm very weak in the military sources, but the intelligence sources, they've said, look, nothing that you've seen to this point has happened by accident. I heard you talking about the laptop, the Secret Service laptop. Very interesting, a long story behind that. I'm not sure I understand all the details, but of course that is embedded within that was the very damaging information that ostensibly against Hillary Clinton. And of course, this is tied directly to...
Well, by the way, I know they were talking to you about your camera frame or something. That's why I didn't hear what I was saying. But no, you're absolutely on the reality script here, because that's exactly what I was asking you, what your view was. And we're going to come back and play the clip again. But what do you make of Trump finally coming out and saying, oh, yeah, you mean guilty Hillary? So she's not just crooked Hillary, she's guilty Hillary. The word is he's getting ready to release the hounds.
Yeah, and I think Alex, that he's realizing that there is a limit to what he can say. And I think he's being a little bit more, shall we say, a little bit more concerned over the wording that he's using, although perhaps it might not seem that way to us. I do believe that that's what he's doing. He's very conscientious at this point.
Sure, he has to recuse himself of what his attorney general does. She's guilty as hell, but he just can't say, hey, go get him. But clearly it's time for that to happen.
Exactly. And I've got some information that
well, let's talk about that when we come back. We'll play the clip. We also have a SOD statement that's on Infowars.com, French news agency. It says it's a 100% fake chemical attack. And then we've caught CNN in more fake news. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us. Doug Hagman of the HagmanReport.com is our guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
This is Alex Jones. I want to tell you about a way to save a lot of money on one of the best new off-the-grid products of 2017. And seriously, I really think everyone should have one of these. I'm talking about the PPX solar generator system from our friends at Solutions from Science, one of our oldest sponsors. The PPX is so small you can put it in your pocket, but so powerful you can run some 110 appliances at your house, like a small refrigerator, so you can keep food from spoiling. Plus, you can take it with you to jumpstart cars, trucks, buses, 18-wheelers, heavy equipment, even airplanes. The system provides an endless supply of off-the-grid electricity, allowing you to create your own private power grid, literally anywhere in the world. Perfect for cabins, remote locations, anytime you need to get off the grid for a while. Go to privatepowergrid.com to watch this thing in action. That's privatepowergrid.com. Even better, use coupon code POWER at checkout and get a second PPX energy unit for free. Check it out at privatepowergrid.com. That's privatepowergrid.com.
For the most part, InfoWars has not commented on the United Airlines incident because we think World War III is a bigger issue. But here's a take on it. Everyone involved is a jackass. Let's start with the airline. You couldn't raise the offer for someone to take it? Was $1,000 really too high for you? You really had a man physically removed from a flight that wasn't even overbooked. To the doctor. What the heck is wrong with you? How old are you? What did you think would happen? You knew they were removing you from the plane. Why did you then decide to act like a 5-year-old who doesn't want to leave the playground? You did this to yourself. To the passengers. As all of you sit there in horror of what you're seeing and hearing, not one of you selfish frauds had the courage to step up and volunteer your seat, but you had plenty of courage to videotape it, didn't you? All in all, this man got more attention than severed children in Sweden and Yemen, China moving troops to the North Korean border, a strange naval flight path off the West Coast, or the alleged patient he so desperately had to save. For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
Dr. Group, you developed Living Defense for us. It took you over a year to do it. Why is this so good?
Because people are actually waking up to the problem that pretty much scares me the most. I mean, I try to make sure that I don't put toxins from food and water and beverages in my system. But right now, we're dealing with massive parasites, which is anything that's harmful to your body that lives off a host mechanism. Right now, with all the refugees spreading disease around, we have biological warfare going on everywhere. These are all parasites.
Tell us about all the stuff that said there's so many things that are in it.
You have the neem in there. You have the organic clove bud, the organic wormwood. I recommend doing a parasite cleanse at least twice a year.
All right, well, I'm glad we got some back in because I'm going back on it today. It just came back in yesterday. Living Defense, InfoWarsLife.com. And folks, you can't lose. It's full of stuff that's great for your body, period. And you support the broadcast, InfoWarsLife.com. Thank you, Dr. Group from the Global Healing Center. Thank you so much for all your work, sir, on this great product.
He aligns himself with the truth, and it's time for you to choose a side. You're listening to Alex Jones.
All right, folks. Hugh in Washington, Corey in Connecticut, Scott in Wisconsin, Steve. We're going to go to all of you here in about 10 minutes with your points, your topics on where you think the administration's going, the North Korea situation, the Syria situation. Doug Hagman of the Hagman Report is riding shotgun with us in this hour. We're going to have Millie Weaver and others in the second half of the third hour. They were out in California for a week, and they're going to premiere some of the investigative reports they did with the confirmed child sex rings operating out there and the big massive bust that have been happening and accelerating and expanding under President Trump. And of course, we have this giant UN operation, reportedly thousands of children raped and killed in many cases. And it's been covered up. But the Associated Press says it's been covered up. So you think about that. Meanwhile, they've got armies of lawyers calling almost every website, group up, you name it, high-powered ones, threatening people anytime you open your mouth up about any of this. Now, they are definitely in MSM and the whole corporate world very, very concerned. Well, there it is, ABC News, AP exclusive. Wow. We just had our team there a few months ago and said it was a huge sex ring. But okay, AP exclusive, UN sex ring left victims but no arrest. So she'll be joining us. We can also talk about that with Mr. Hagman here in a moment. Before I go any further, we have an Easter special, obviously runs through Easter, on some of our best-selling supplements and nutraceuticals at InfoWarsLife.com. You can also call toll-free 888-253-3139. 30% off Brain Force, our amazing nootropic. Go read the hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews it's got it from third-party sites. We're linked to those on the site. 25% off Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, Vitamin Mineral Fruit Punch Concentrate for your children to put in their water. It's delicious. Kids love it. It's a great way to get them to get their multivitamin and actually absorb it. 25% off Survival Shield X2, even though that supply is about to sell out yet again. And many other specials at InfoWarsStore.com. We've recently been banned off AdRoll and Google Ads, and the different Democratic Party groups are openly saying kick us off Google entirely. But you've been coming through, InfoWarriors, to help us keep the operation going and changing the world together. So thank you for your support. Get great products, support the broadcast. Whether it's high-quality colloidal silver or vitamin B12 or caveman that's back in stock, it's 33% off the bone broth / turmeric / chaga mushroom, bee pollen. It's just got so many other great things. And here is a review of the day. Then we're going back to our guest. This is by Marianetta. Incredible product in so many ways. Brain Force Plus. I can feel the difference immediately. Very impressed with the ingredients. This product will take the place of 4 or 5 other pills I take, saving money, less fillers, and saving a lot of money. I am also happy that the dosage of each of the ingredients is large enough to help therapeutically. hats off to your research team that put this together. I'll be taking it for the rest of my life. Oh, I love how CNN and MSNBC and Vox in just the last week say, Jones sells naturopath crap. The purest, super strong iodine that you die without. Super powerful multivitamin mineral fruit punch. We go out and study the best-selling nootropics out there and just make it better and stronger. You know, stuff that's sold in Whole Food stores and then it's a bestseller. And we want stuff that really works the very best. The media says naturopathy is, like you have one drop of something and they keep taking it out till there's almost nothing and then you still get the benefit of a tiny amount. I don't get into all that. Some of it's real, some of it isn't. They just throw that label on, like if you need to eat an orange, I'm a naturopath. No, you'll die without vitamin C of scurvy. A lot of Americans actually have it. They just don't diagnose it. So, oh, look at Jones giving medical advice. No, you need oxygen, you need water. I don't need a medical degree to tell you that. And I have free speech of what I've done personally to tell you what I do. And people love our products and they hate it. We're not selling Prozac and Ritalin and all these other ads on TV. And you hear the drug ads and then there's 30 seconds of how it'll kill you afterwards. We're selling GRAS certified, that's the federal law, recognized by the Food and Drug Administration as safe. As the supplements that have been known to be safe. We just get better sources. We have different compounds. We get you the freshest and good prices. And they can't stand it. Jones is crazy. He says Gardasil's hurt people. Type it into a search engine, bro. It's in mainstream news every day. It's killing people. People die every day. Every day it's in the news. But you hope your audience are morons. Let's go back to Doug Hagman. Again, of HagmanReport.com, investigator, broke so much big news on the whole situation with WikiLeaks and his great sources. Let's get into, let's play this clip of Trump. Here's Trump, briefly, on Fox Business, again, saying that what we're dealing with here is guilty Hillary. So what does that stand for? What does that mean? We'll play that clip in a moment, Doug. Let's expand on what you see happening in the world, the investigations into the pedophiles and more.
Well, okay. That's a very important topic because the human sex trafficking, the human trafficking and child sex, that is the globalist currency of choice, along with drugs and, of course, weapons and oil. But specifically, that's the perverse vein that runs through this deep state, which is definitely at war with Donald Trump, and not at war just with Donald Trump, but everything he stands for and the office of the presidency in order to encapsulate, compromise, and take down not only the legitimacy of Donald Trump and the presidency under Donald Trump, but the entirety of the United States. So we have to keep our eye on that. And I think that there are so many important things that are connected to that, pedogate, the entirety of the human trafficking and child sex trafficking. I don't think that anything with respect to that can be understated, how important that is. We have so many people compromised because of that, and your audience knows that. And of course, we've talked about that. Now, having said all of that, I do believe that the response to keep that under wraps, so far under wraps, and so far away from our current Department of Justice and FBI, is that's being accelerated, and there's this huge and constant, persistent, florid attempt to keep all of this under wraps, and even to the extent of, look, we're gonna make sure you're compromised, you're not believable, you're not made believable, or if you can't be bribed, then we're gonna compromise you. And if you can't be compromised, or if you can't be bribed, or if you're gonna be a problem, then of course there's the ultimate solution, and that's just basically wiping you off the map. And I'm talking about the players involved in this perverse rat line of human trafficking. Now, having said all of that feeds right into the what I believe to be the key ingredients here with respect to the movement against Donald Trump, the movement against not just Donald Trump, but the movement that brought Donald Trump to the presidency. I don't want to sound redundant, but there are two different things. One is the effect, and that's the Donald Trump, and the other is what propelled him to that office. So
that's right. They are so scared of the phenomenon of the awakening to globalism. That's why they're desperate to say he turned on us, as if our movement against globalism will go away if they kill Trump or compromising. No, Trump is just a vehicle, a weapon for us to get our country back. If he breaks or falls to the side, or if I break or fall to the side, or if you do, just lovingly throw us into a ditch, plant some flowers on our head, and move forward. Or come back later and bury us. Just win the war against the globalists, against the technocrats. Their ideology of eugenics is pure crystalline evil. It must be resisted.
Precisely. And you saw how everyone saw how hard they and still are trying to associate Donald Trump and his associates with Vladimir Putin of Russia, saying that there's this unholy alliance there, when in fact that alliance exists not within the Trump administration, but within the previous administrations, as we saw with Valerie Jarrett, with Iran, and of course Iran being a proxy state of Russia, and of course what we saw with the off mic or hot mic comments by Obama, second term or first term Obama going into the second term with respect to Medvedev. But having said all of that,
he said I can do more once I get into office. I mean, there he is. Right. Imagine we had Trump. I can do more once I get reelected. There's no connection to Trump and the Russians. They have nothing. They're up to it in their eyeballs, and they just keep pushing. And again, that's the excuse to build the deep state movement and say, we're the stay-behind network in America to defeat Trump and the evil Russians. And then now we see them saying, oh, we'll overthrow all the Republicans, except for a few lapdogs like Lindsey Graham and people, and then we'll have our COG take over. Trump must move against that. That is the globalist criminal organization that's openly calling and mainlining a coup against our republic.
Yeah, precisely. And if they don't succeed as well or as quickly as they want to on that, using that those talking points, then they're going to go after Trump and are going after our president with respect to his business dealings, which of course are massive, numerous business dealings. So they're going to attempt to delegitimize him through his that's why they want his tax returns, because no one's going to be able to understand really the tax returns once they're gotten. I mean, we're not talking about a simple 1040 here. We're talking about corporate tax returns that are thousands, if not tens of thousands of pages. So they're going to, and of course, the talking points of the globalists, the talking points of the organizations on this, where the fight exists, really where I'm looking at is the street level fight, saying that Trump was not elected by the majority of people, so he's illegitimate. He's a puppet of Vladimir Putin. And of course, if that doesn't work, then we're going to attack his mental state, his fragility of mind, his manic depression.
Or he sold us out. He's a globalist now to get the base to turn against him. You can see the talking points. I want to play that clip we have now of Trump saying, guilty Hillary. So she's gone from crooked Hillary to guilty Hillary. That is a very good sign. Here it is.
Still wondering, though, they're scratching your heads why so many Obama-era staffers are still here. For example, was it a mistake not to ask Jim Comey to step down from the FBI at the outset of your presidency? Is it too late now to ask him to step down?
No, it's not too late, but, I have confidence in him. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, but, we have to just, look, I have so many people that want to come into this administration. They're so excited about this administration and what's happening. Bankers, law enforcement people, everybody wants to come into this administration. Don't forget, when Jim Comey came out, he saved Hillary Clinton. People don't realize that. He saved her life because I call it Comey 1. And I joke about it a little bit. When he was reading those charges, she was guilty on every charge. And then he said she was essentially okay.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Why is he still on the job?
Saying, well, because I want to give everybody a good, fair chance. Director Comey was very, very good to Hillary Clinton. That I can tell you.
All right.
If he weren't, she would be right now going to trial.
That's right. Final comments on that, then I'm going to play this aside clip and go to calls. But again, what else? I mean, now you've got a lot of news. You're working on a lot of breaking stuff. What else is in the hopper?
Well, with respect to that, I just want to mention that the FBI, they generate the final investigative work product. The prosecution, of course, is up to the Department of Justice. And I think that the reason that, and what I'm getting is the reason that Comey is still there is because he is critical and possesses, along with McCabe, unfortunately, and others, the investigative work product that will be used by Jeff Sessions in the prosecution, if there will be one, and I do hope there will be. That's at least that's a
Do you have any word from your sources that have proven to be very accurate, or I guess it's being held close to the vest? Having the president sounds like, say that's like a declaration of war.
Well, I think everything involved with respect to that, there's a timing issue. What can the American people, what will the American people stomach? And there are people looking at this. Going after Hillary today may not be the most, although correctly, it may not be the most, shall we say, the smartest thing to do, given the fact that, well, that could be used as against President Trump. And saying, well, he's just doing this to divert attention away from the real issues. Don't forget, Donald Trump's got a full plate right now with respect to Syria, Al-Qaeda, or ISIS in
North Korea, and he's trying to get Supreme Court people in. So I understand it's almost like she's an afterthought, she's out of power, but she's not. Her surrogates, George Soros, they're in full war mode trying to get Trump out of office or dead. So, and plus it's justice. It's what he said he'd do. And we know Hillary's red-handed. Caught with all this corruption. We need to send some people to prison.
Absolutely. And if I can just say one thing, and this I've not really broken anywhere. I've talked about a little bit of this a little bit on my show, but I'll break it right here on InfoWars. The information, or what we have done through the Northeast Intelligence Network. We used to monitor, of course, all of the Islamic message boards. What we've done since the election, and I've mentioned this briefly before, but we have now a group of volunteer investigators, licensed, accredited, that have infiltrated some of the street level groups as operatives and assets, much like James O'Keefe in terms of his level of infiltration, and much like Center for Medical Progress with respect to Planned Parenthood, various organizations to find out what they're up to. And they're getting a lot of their marching orders from the Obama and Clinton camps. Now, Obama and Clinton have been very quiet since of course, the transition of power. However, there's a reason for that, and that's because they're working very diligently behind the scenes, and they want this.
Sure, and they admit they are. I'm going to go ahead and go to some calls now. Then I'll get your take on Assad and play the clip where Assad's come out and says that chemical attack, 100% fabrication. And then I'll get your view on that, Mr. Hagman. Right now, let's go to Corey and then Hugh and others. Thanks for holding, Corey. You're on the air from Connecticut.
Good morning. How are you?
Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure. Yeah, I've been following the past recent events for the past 2 weeks, going back even the past decade and under the past administration. What's looking to be more and more like a democratically controlled situation here with Syria. If you watch who's been basically cheering Trump ever since this strike and how Trump said that he's not going to invade Syria, I actually completely agree with him with this three-dimensional chess that he's sort of playing. If you remember back, when they wanted Hillary to come into office, the Brookings Institute put out the think tank put out a paper, PDF, called Which Path to Persia, back a few years back. And what seems to be playing out here is that Saudi Arabia, more or less, is the one that's fighting this war against the U.S. rather than Russia.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've threatened the U.S. and Russia.
Absolutely. And when you're looking at this at a dollar perspective here, with what has happened in the past 2 weeks with the president of China coming to the U.S., and on top of that, with the Federal Reserve announcing that they're going to drop $4.5 trillion worth of toxic assets, one has to think here, the only country that's been very quiet about this is Saudi Arabia. And what I think that Trump was actually threatened with was the fact of the economy. And with Saudi Arabia having the most interest with Syria, with the Golan Heights region at the base near the Israeli border, and why McCain was helping all the individual rebels. I'm sure you've seen the pictures.
Stay there. Corey, you sound like a smart guy here, an Iraq vet, and you want to talk about North Korea too. We'll come back, get where you're going with this, because I mean, it's absolutely on target what you're saying, so I want to put a cherry on top, or I guess a bow on it. Then we're going to move on to Hugh and Scott and everybody else. Stay with us. And again, riding shotgun with us is the man that hosts the Hagman Report. We'll be back. Stay with us.
On on the line we have Bill Mitchell of YourVoiceRadio.com, and he's also filming the show for his podcast. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Good. Now, I'm going to read you 2 Trump tweets, which he tweeted during the campaign. This is from Trump. Don't attack Syria, an attack that will bring nothing but trouble for the US. Focus on making our country strong and great again. He also tweeted, crooked Hillary Clinton foreign interventions unleashed ISIS in Syria, Iraq, and Libya. She is reckless and dangerous.
Yeah, I think a real danger that we get into when we judge someone's current actions by their former tweets is that they have new information that they've attained on their current actions that they didn't have when they made that tweet. And this is one of the things I like about Donald Trump. He's not a classic conservative ideologue. He's a resultist. He's a CEO-type mentality. And you don't want a CEO that goes in making decisions based on pure ideology. You want a CEO that goes in and makes decisions on the latest, most up-to-date, best information. Donald Trump came in, and when these gas attacks were reported, and apparently our intelligence supported that this happened, okay? When these gas attacks happened, and Assad was responsible, according to our intelligence, Donald Trump could either respond or not respond. If he didn't respond at all, that would be unacceptable as President of the United States. So if he responded and condemned them, then he had to act. If he did not act, then he became Obama 2.0, okay? So he had to act in a surgical, limited way. And they followed the intelligence, and they did it, they acted. The upside to this is tremendous. You know, here's the thing. The entire Russiagate thing just died. It's over. It's over. Because what person in the world would say that Donald Trump is acting as the puppet of Putin now that Donald Trump has basically stuck his finger in Putin's eye in Syria? That's over. Based upon what I'm seeing on Twitter, you know, you said that we're split on this. I disagree with that statement. I think this is maybe 20% against, 80% for. Okay, I see very positive support for Trump on this. I see the people that were initially very against this saying, I'm going to abandon Trump on this. I'm off the Trump train on this. I see that fading away. You know, here's the thing people got to understand. The Trump train has got many cars on it. If you don't like the drapes on one car, move to another car, okay? Because if you say that you're going to abandon Trump on this, then what are you going to do for the next 4 years? I mean, what about tax reform? What about healthcare reform? What about the wall? What about immigration reform? What about jobs? These are other cars. If you believe in those, but stay on the Trump train. Don't abandon Trump. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with Trump on this. He likes that feedback. That's important to him. That's part of his strategy. But in my case, I think this is a great move. I think history will look back at this as a turning point in the Middle East and a brilliant move.
As we've been trodden on the wine press much too long, Babylon system is the vampire. Sucking the children day by day.
Doug Hagman's our guest. I'm Alex Jones. We're taking your phone calls right now. Corey in Connecticut. So we've put out the strategic report you're talking about. I'm aware of the larger machinations in the Middle East. Where are you saying this is all going?
Well, what it seems to be, Alex, is that when Dick Cheney had gotten out of office, he had disappeared for 3 years under the Obama administration, up until the first gas attack in Syria. And being excellent information coming out from the investigative journalists on who that attack was produced by and the players in the local area. When Turkey just recently applauded Trump, along with McCain, for hitting Syria, the thing that I was waiting for is that back in 2013 was when the whole Benghazi situation was enveloping. And I applaud Mr. Hammond there for announcing all the charges that they possibly could draw up on this. I do feel that we're going to have a revisitation soon from what Benghazi was really producing, even stemming back to Iraq in 2006, 2007, 2008, as to how the intelligence agencies under the Obama administration was actually intentionally destabilizing the Middle East with the intelligence agencies. So with what Trump recently just did, I think was a brilliant maneuver because it's not only showing the individuals who are setting it up for the destabilization process in the Middle East. He was sending out a shot across the bow saying that these policies are not only going to be coming to an end, he's going to be heading it up at the forefront and working with Russia to actually stop what is currently happening in the Middle East with ISIS.
That's basically what Trump has said privately, and now that's starting to come out. That's the plan, is to end the, quote, mess that the criminals started. Thank you so much for the call. Great points, Corey. Mr. Hagman, what do you want to add to that?
Just to drive home the point that Benghazi, the third rail of politics, or of the political arena, Benghazi provided, or does provide, the window into what's taking place in Syria. It's Syria is destabilized because of the Libyan, the Ho Chi Minh Trail of arms and munitions across northern Africa, Libya, into Turkey, and then into Syria. So that provides the window into what's taking place in Syria. I think everyone should really keep their eyes in Syria. World War III is going to start in Syria, not in North Korea, not in the South China Sea. It's all about Syria, and it's all about the Middle East. That's where we need to keep our eyes on. We need to keep our focus on. And I kind of take exception to the brilliant characterization of Donald Trump's reaction. I think it was more necessary, and begrudgingly so. We have to do something. We're going to do it this way. At least that's what I'm being told from my end.
And clearly it was to shut up his critics.
Yes. It did a number of things, actually. And it was it really had an effect on the Chinese during that meeting with the Chinese president.
Sure. Let's go to Hugh in Washington. You're on the air. Thanks for holding, Hugh.
Hey,
brother.
You got me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, look. Trump is the secret squirrel. 007. Man, this Syrian thing was a shocker. I never saw it coming. But watching the American public get so fickle, all of a sudden he's losing his support base? Come on. That's totally a lie. Man, I've been more for Trump than I was when he was campaigning. He's the right guy. He's like the miracle. He's the wild card. Gotta hang in there with the man. And you're doing a good job of that too, Alex. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, brother. I'm just looking at the facts. I mean, they call it 5 flip-flops. He went in there and got good negotiations for us, then backed off with his threat. We're going to come back with Mr. Hagman and more calls on the other side. Please stay with us.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Electrify your day with Secret 12. It's like lightning in a bottle. We all have days in which we just can't seem to perform at the level we'd like to. InfoWars Life Secret 12 is designed to naturally energize your body and mind with 2 great tasting and super high quality forms of vitamin B12. Proper vitamin and nutrient intake is essential to keep your body functioning at optimum levels. The reality is, it's hard to take in the proper amount of vitamins we need each day with our modern diets. Secret 12 by InfoWars Life is an easy way to naturally upgrade your vitamin B12 intake and support your body's natural systems. It pairs 2 forms of vitamin B12 into one explosive formula. Vitamin B12 supports healthy energy levels through red blood cell formation and aiding in the body's natural processes, but it also assists with many other functions of the body. Electrify your mind and body and take your health to the next level. Experience the power of Secret 12 at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Tell you, some callers are half awake, some callers are really smart. We've had some amazing callers so far on what Trump's doing and where the world is. This is an incredibly historic time to be alive. Doug Hagman, we're going to take a few more calls. I appreciate you coming in the next hour with us. In your life, have you ever seen anything this wild and all the big developments that are happening? I think surely we are entering a quickening.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think from a biblical perspective, and I talk to Steve Quayle nearly every day, and I know he's a guest on your show. From a biblical perspective, I don't think there has ever been a time in modern times like there is today. The news headlines are change every hour, of course, and we're seeing, I think, some prophetic fulfillments. And I think we need to keep our eye through that, or look at things again through that, the prism of biblical prophecy and Scripture. I really think there's prophecy playing out here.
Well, I know this. World government's out in the open. It said it hates Christians. It said humans have no rights. Humans are obsolete. The elite are going to merge with machines. We're all going to have a chip to buy and sell. This is all being announced on the news. And then now, because Christians warned about it so long, it's like Christians have less credibility. It's like, oh, you've been totally right about everything, so we don't listen to you now. It's almost like it's just passé. Like, duh, of course there's going to be a world government. We're going to kill everybody. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're exactly right. And I do, look, I'm a Christian. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a minister. I'm an investigator. But if Christians cannot see what's taking place right now, and especially Christians can win on the numbers. Unfortunately, I think that in America, we have a problem not with intolerance. We have a problem with tolerance. And Christians have been far too tolerant with many things, in my opinion. And that's
right. We've been the tolerant countries compared to others. All they do is magnify our problems, but never show us all the other stuff to make us feel guilty, so we acquiesce and then sell out our freedom. It's got to stop. And I think Trump's a manifestation of that, but he's just riding that wave like a surfer. Humanity understands across the board, we've been bullied, we're being manipulated, and we're done.
Yeah, it's interesting. Evangelicals, I think, that are responsible, a large portion of evangelicals are responsible for his being in that office. It is interesting to see that same element or segment of evangelicals turn against Donald Trump at the slightest whiff of any type of bumpy roads. But we're better than that. And we need to solidify our base and to say, and to put down the progressives, put down the globalists, put down the communists. In other words, fight back. We can, as Christians, fight back in that capacity.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's very, very encouraging, Doug, that Trump did come out and say, guilty Hillary. She's guilty of sin, and everything they've done, they project on us. And, to hear that I'm under criminal investigation for being run by the Russians, which is just a way to demonize me. I can't go to Congress. They don't show proof. They just say it on the news. When she literally worked with the Russians and was a Chinese communist agent, if I'm under investigation, she better damn well get indicted.
Yeah, and I think that chapter has yet to be written. And I think what we need to do is let although everyone is impatient, I'm impatient, and I know that your listeners and viewers are impatient as well. We have a right to be, because we've been watching this unfold for so long. However, just wait, because I do believe there's a time here where America, as a country, we are vulnerable. So to take a person of that position, Hillary Clinton, and to put her under indictment, for example, could have some really bad unintended consequences that I believe that President Donald Trump has been briefed on. And I think that, although that's still going, I think that we have to have a measured response as opposed to a reaction. Respond as opposed to react.
Sure. I just know they're guilty of everything they say we've done. I'm sick of it. I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything except speed on the highway sometimes. I mean, I open doors for little old ladies, and I am sick of being demonized by these criminals. Doug, we love you. God bless you, brother. More calls coming up. Millie Weaver and others in studio. Big transmission. Bunch of...
Remember Lois Lerner? The Lois Lerner who was director of the Exempt Organizations Unit of the IRS? The Lois Lerner who has the same haircut as Sugar in No Country for Old Men? The woman who was under investigation for denying conservative groups tax-exempt status, or delaying their status until after Obama's election in 2012. Well, she got off scot-free after the original investigation found no evidence, but skeptical of that rigged outcome, Representative Peter Roskam and Representative Kevin Brady have requested that the new Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, take another look into the evidence withstanding against Lerner. Here's Representative Roskam. just can.
But we're convinced that the prior administration was completely dismissive of the referral from the Congress that said, we believe Lois Lerner committed crimes. The Ways and Means Committee is asserting that Lois Lerner is likely to have committed a crime in the denial of due process and equal protection by targeting individuals based on their political philosophy. The notion of weaponizing the IRS is so corrosive to our democracy, we ought not let the statute of limitations lapse without taking another look at it.
For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
I'm going to commit blasphemy against the globalists right now in the New World Order. I'm going to tell all of you that we're celebrating the Christian holiday of Easter, our risen Christ, on the third day, by having some of the biggest specials ever at InfoWarsStore.com on amazing supplements. You know, mainstream media demonizes us for selling high-quality organic supplements that are game changers, while they have all the poison, big pharma drug ads all day, sitting there poisoning the people. What a shameful group of wicked devils. Ladies and gentlemen, our Christ raised from the dead on the third day. And our republic can rise from the dead if we wake up to what the globalists are doing and if you support independent free media. There's never been a better time to support InfoWars with these specials at InfoWarsLife.com, because it's all about life. Get the products, whether it's water filtration, nutraceuticals, Patriot apparel, you name it, it's all available at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to secure your canister. We have worked for years with our chemists and scientists to create the most powerful and affordable, great-tasting multivitamin formula available. Vitamin Mineral Fusion Drink Mix at InfoWarsLife.com is loaded with a full month's supply of essential vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body absolutely needs. In the history of InfoWars Life, we've brought out a lot of amazing products like Survival Shield X2, Super Male Vitality, and so many others. With its unique delivery system and proprietary manufacturing process designed for maximized effects, this formula is the platinum standard of multivitamin mineral products. And this part is most important. The ingredients in Vitamin Mineral Fusion are either plant-derived or of the highest quality lab standard. That means it's clean. That means it's pure. And rest assured, you're fighting the tip of the spear in the info war. That's InfoWarsLife.com and Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Take action now before we sell out.
Good evening, Anderson. Well, what we've learned from a senior U.S. official is that the U.S. military and intelligence community does now have the communications intercepts of the Syrian military and chemical experts talking about preparations for that Syrian attack. Now,
Hello, this is Syrian military. Under orders of Putin, we launched chemical attack on civilian. So United States invade and defeat us. This is radio transmission of our plan to launch the chemical attack to cross the red line so that they invade us and defeat us. We do this because we're winning now, and we do this now so Saudi Arabia can invade us and take over. We want to be thrown out of power. That's why we've fought civil war started by West for 6 years. So we agree with your Adam Schiff, great American, that we are all evil agents of Putin, and that is why we are doing this. There are new recordings released and witnesses on the CNN. They are the most trusted network. They are the good people, so we're going to do what they say. Thank you, CNN.
That hospital medical clinic, there was a Russian drone flying over it, collecting intelligence. About 5 hours later, an unidentified aircraft comes in, drops a conventional bomb right in that area. The theory is the drone was photographing, collecting the evidence of the pictures of the people being there being treated. Whoever called in that second unidentified aircraft wanted the evidence destroyed of injured people being there.
Rob Dew threw that together this morning, did a great job. Because I made the joke last night and sent him an audio recording as a joke. I didn't even intend to air it. where I'm like, yes, this is the Syrians. We admit we did it all. We're very bad people. I had meant to actually play that, and I'll do it later, with real clips of CNN doing fake news, where they got caught and where they admitted it. Plus a new one I never got to. I've been mentioning it for 3 days, where clearly you hear the birds tweeting. That gets faded down, and then they have phones ringing in the background. You can hear the room sound, people shuffling around, and you can see that it's a still image behind it. And that their correspondent is not on the ground in Syria, Ben Wiedemann. So that's a joke. We're not saying that was real news. It's being sarcastic because we have Syria's Assad says chemical attack 100% fabrication. Syrian President Bashar Assad said a suspected chemical weapons attack was a fabrication to justify a U.S. military strike as Moscow digs in to defend its ally despite increasing strains with Washington. Why would Assad launch his own attack when he's never been caught using chemicals? They just keep saying he's known to use chemicals. No, the rebels are. And they stole them out of Libya and our government helped them. This is well known. Just like you couldn't keep your doctor with Obamacare or increased premiums. And they said it's a conspiracy theory by racist Alex Jones, who's deeply racist. There are no death panels. And I'd be like, look, it's right here in the bill. Right here in the bill. IRS penalties. There are no penalties. That's an outrageous. Let's have PolitiFact fact check show that. Oh, pants on fire. Pants on fire. Who was the congressman during the State of the Union? Obama, like 5-6 years ago, says, and undocumented migrants, illegal aliens, are not covered under the plan. The congressman had the bill. He stands up and says, you lie. And now we know they were covered. It's just lying, and we know they're liars. So why did Trump believe their lies and then bomb? Because he knew they were going to hang on around his head and start an impeachment and say he was backing Russia. Because they're already saying Russia did it. And so he said, fine, I'll blow up the base. That's what happened. It's Machiavellian. I don't know. I agree with it. I don't want to see our agenda to restore the republic stop, but I don't want to become them in the process of trying to get there. That's what I'm saying. And it's not because I'm on some high horse. I've been around these globalists. They're slimy. You don't want to be on their side. They're bad people. I mean, if the globalists were like boss hogs or something, I wouldn't fight to the death against them. You know what? Trump is like a good boss hog. But he doesn't want to see the village poor. He made his money in hospitality and service industries. And he knows the economy's in the crapper. Trump doesn't want to release the tax returns the last few years because there weren't much money made. Country's falling apart. And now restaurant visits are up like 60%, I was reading. All this other good stuff's happening. Retail, because everybody buys stuff online. I went to the mall to buy some dress slacks last weekend with my children. And I was there on a Saturday, and it was empty. There were more customer service people there than there were people. But they were so demoralized, they wouldn't even give me service. We're like, oh, we don't have those size slacks in the zone. And I was like digging around. Oh, here they are. And I was just like, you know what? I'm out of here. I got enough slacks. I really don't have enough slacks. I used to wear blue jeans when I'm on the air. I need some slacks. I need 5 or 6 pairs. I've got like 10 pairs, but some of them are like 8, 9 years old. And they're getting like holes in them and stuff. And you love pants you've had for 10 years, but they got to go they got to go to Goodwill. They got to go in the trash. They got to get burned to the incinerator. I want to go to your phone call. Scott, thanks for holding. Others, we're going to go right to you here. But I wanted to play this Assad thing. Then we'll talk to Scott and Steve. Here is Assad in his own words saying it's a false flag. Remember 15 years ago, that word was not even in the popular vernacular. Here it is.
We don't have any chemical weapons. We gave up our arsenals a few years ago. Even if we have them, we wouldn't use them. And we had never used our chemical arsenal in our history.
So what happened these days?
As I said, the only source is Al-Qaeda. We cannot take it seriously. But our impression that the West, mainly the United States, is hand in glove with the terrorists. They fabricated the whole story in order to have a pretext for the attack. It wasn't attack because of what happened in Khan Sheikhoun. It's one event. It's a stage one. The play that we saw on the social networking and on TVs, the propaganda, and the stage 2 with the military attack. That's what we believe is happening, because it's only few days, 2 days, 48 hours between the play and the attacks, and no investigations, no concrete evidence about anything. The only thing were allegations and propaganda, and then strike.
You know why Assad's being overthrown, right? Because he began the process to open up and democratize the country from his father, who was a brutal dictator, against radical Muslims. One of the only countries where Christians and Jews could live in peace, where women don't wear hoods over their heads, where women are doctors and lawyers and scientists. Because most of them are really, the ruling party is crypto-Christians, and that's admitted. That's why they go to Easter, they go to Christmas at the Orthodox Church. That's what's really going on here. And it's the last bastion in the Middle East of Christianity. That's going to be blown away by a bunch of, if you watch the ISIS Al-Qaeda videos, I mean, scum of the earth, crazed demons. You look at the Assad video, he's telling the truth. Or he's the best liar the world ever saw. Plus, he didn't have the motive, and the rebels have been caught doing it before. Scott in Wisconsin, thanks for holding. You're on the air. Thank you.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
I'm all right, brother.
Good. See, I'm a little older than you, but I've been following you for 15, 17 years now, something like that. I've always appreciated your insight and your honesty. Just saying that.
Thank you, brother.
But to be devil's advocate here, one of the things I've said throughout this whole entire election thing was the Mr. Trump, just more smoke and mirrors. And I'm thinking that the two biggest things that led to his election, and from people like me, were the repeal of Obamacare and this draining of the swamp. So Hillary's still on the street. Obama, openly treasonous, still on the street, and no mention of his crimes. James Comey shouldn't be anywhere near our FBI offices, and he's still in office. And then I just heard Donald say, well, he's a good guy, deserves a chance. George Soros should have a $10 million bounty on his head, wanted dead or alive, for doing treasonous acts to our country. Why hasn't anything moved as far as taking care of the actual problems in our country?
I'll tell you, because he can't even get 2 or 3 levels filled. They're in open mutiny and rebellion and are trying to organize a coup against Trump right now. But I agree with you. He has to go on offense or they will destroy him. Even if he sells out to them, they're going to destroy him to demoralize the liberty movement. We're the real target.
Right, I agree with you 100%. I mean, these economy numbers are easy to manipulate and make us feel that things are going in the right direction and everything else. Where I'm a small businessman, I just launched an online t-shirt business, and there's still small business going out of business in droves in this country, and it doesn't seem like...
I agree. We have not turned the economy around. There is some real numbers and facts. He's doing real things that will help, and we are seeing that happen. But I agree. I mean, it's very spotty. It's very, very hit or miss, and fortune favors the bold, and if fortune is liberty, Trump needs to... Well, we got 30 seconds left. What do you think Trump should do? You're a smart guy.
Well, I think, number one, the Obama deal. He was openly treasonous. He supplied our enemies with not only money but weapons. I understand the Hillary thing, it's smoke and mirrors where I come from. But why isn't there the mention of Barack Hussein Obama being tried or at least indicted for his openly treasonous acts against the people of the United States?
No, that's it. And I understand it'll make it look like he's vindictive to go after Hillary. You have to. She's an international war criminal that robbed Haiti. I mean, she's such a criminal that if you wrote a fiction book about somebody like her, you wouldn't believe it. It's like George Soros. He's worse than any James Bond villain. Russia unveils Satan II missile and that could wipe out France or Texas with the type of megaton weapons it carries. Multiple ones, by the way. And of course, there's a lot more advanced stuff than that. They admitted the Air Force by the 90s developed antimatter bombs that would destroy, if they theoretically tested them, they would destroy most of the solar system. So what's the point of that? I don't know. But we're reaching that Atlantis moment, whether Atlantis existed or not. In the fable of Atlantis, the legend, they get some super technology that blows the whole island up. And Plato lived only, a few thousand years after. He said, no, he had the annals, the books about it happened. But whether that was real or not, folks, we're now at the Atlantis moment. Michael Snyder, I don't know if you have kids. I have children, especially my little daughters. And I see this news, and I see how sweet they are, and it really makes me angry.
Yeah, I don't want war either, Alex, and that's why I'm so alarmed by what's happened this week. We already talked about how North Korea could potentially spark a war with China. Well, the situation with Syria, if it was just Syria, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, and Trump could do whatever he wanted if it was just Syria. But the Russians are there, and the Russians are mixed in among the Syrian forces, and they're at the Syrian air bases in particular. So if Trump, with his words and the members of his administration in recent days, they've kind of committed themselves to taking some sort of action in response to this false flag chemical attack, but they've kind of committed themselves. But if they do anything and the bombs start dropping and the Russians, their people are being killed, their forces under threat, are the Russians just going to sit there and do nothing, or are they going to respond? I believe the Russians would start responding. They would start shooting back. And so what happens if, U.S. warplanes go in, they start bombing, and then Russian missiles, the S-300 starts taking U.S. airplanes out. We start seeing F-16s fall out of the sky on CNN. What's that going to do to the anti-Russian hysteria in Washington that's already at Cold War heights? I mean, it's just going to be insane. But the situation, and of course we've got Iran in Syria, we've got Hezbollah in Syria, and there's nothing to be gained in there. There's so much that could go wrong. We don't want to conflict with Iran. We don't even want to conflict with Hezbollah. They're pretty serious. But especially with Russia, our relationship with Russia is already quite tenuous. And if we go in and dead bodies of Russian service members start showing up on Russian television, the Russians are going to totally turn against Trump. Any hope
but
of
then I turn on Fox and they've got former generals going, what we need is Russian body bags. That'll teach them. Which historically, that doesn't work with any powerful country. It's never worked with Russia. Like, you kill Russians, they're just going to crap their pants.
Yeah, Russia doesn't back down. Russia is not intimidated by anyone. The Russians historically are fighters. And so, we had hoped that Trump coming in, we could have a better relationship with Russia. But this thing with Syria could actually make it far, far worse.
Anthony Gucciardi joins us to talk about BioPCA, the latest formula to be announced and released by InfoWarsLife.com. They're true game changers, they're organic, they're proven as safe, and they're also very affordable.
Exactly. You talk about being a game changer, right? You talk about, we're in an industry where we talk to the industry leaders. We've both talked to them. They have individuals that are hired only to save money and get the lowest quality junk and put it in as many capsules as possible so they can make the highest profit margins. Okay? We refuse to screw people. We refuse to do that. We actually want to make something that's good.
I went on what Mother Nature gave us, and it's changed my life, and it's also helped the InfoWar change the country and the world. It's a win-win. InfoWarsLife.com.
They took the babies out of the incubators. Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
CNN's Carl Rochelle is here with me, just came up. Carl, I know we can't be very specific given these restrictions, but within those parameters, what did you see?
Well, what I saw, I didn't see anything hit. I looked very almost straight above us. There's a vapor trail coming from my right to my left, and there's a cloud of something. It looks like it might have been an explosion of cloud. I'd say...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a Laurel and Hardy or Three Stooges routine if you just tuned in. Coming up at the end of this hour, I'm going to play the piece that Zimmerman and Dew and others put together of admitted fake CNN videos where they said Scud missiles were hitting and they were on top CNN Center in Atlanta. It's admitted. And then we've got them caught doing it again. So this is what they do. This is their specialty. Sandy Hook. Cooper turns, his face disappears, his nose disappears, and then they've got footage of the wreaths and the flowers for the dead children, and the wind's blowing, and you can see it's looped footage. All I'm saying is, You can't believe one word they say. They go, you don't believe children ever died. You don't believe there's ever been gun violence. I'm like, CNN is a pack of liars. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe a word they say. I'd be crazy if I did. And it's the same thing with this gas attack. The one thing that'll get Assad thrown out, 1 week after Tillerson says, all right, we're going to let you stay in as long as you have a process for elections. Boom! Well, let me just drop chemicals right away so that all ends and you invade me. Steve in Iowa is bringing up an important point. Martial law. It'll be called civil emergency, and the Democrats are openly saying they want it. Steve, what's on your mind today?
You know, I got to think that, I voted for Trump, and I totally believed in him. But, I'm kind of thinking, maybe this whole thing could be just one big psyops. And, they might be using China and Russia to bring in martial law.
Flesh that out for me. I'm not disagreeing with you, but, give me some details.
Well, I believe there's Russian soldiers on our soil right now.
Well, they do have exchange programs, so I would always cover it and they'd say it's a conspiracy theory. No, they inspect our weapons, we inspect theirs, there's joint training things. It's really an excuse to spy on each other is what goes on, but, it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can search engine Russians part of anti-terror drill in Colorado was the last time it was in the news. Associated Press, Fox News, Denver Post, about 2 weeks after we reported it. Listeners told us about it, and we saw it in the base newspaper. It wasn't like it was even a secret, but the media said, no drones are spying on Americans. There are no Russians either. And Alex Jones is a liar. That's what they do. But, and Obamacare is free, by the way, and you didn't build your business. Steve?
I went to watch him speak, 3 times here in Iowa. And he was speaking, really tough talk, and I was impressed. But now, when he speaks, it just seems totally different,
Well, they say they're telling him to be more presidential and to be more even, because if he acts excited, it'll hurt the stock market or something. Yes, they're kind of keeping the president now like a kept woman. They're more and more having, like the beautiful girl, was it Rapunzel? Who's the girl with the long hair up in the tower? Rapunzel. So that's what tends to happen with power. In fact, it almost always happens, so you're right. But listen, this is why I know that it's not all the gloom and doom you see. And I can see why you see that. Fundamentally attacking globalism, political correctness, fundamentally announcing we're a nation, fundamentally announcing a border and doing the things he's done for small businesses and TPP. That is a repudiation of a globalist system already collapsing. He just added accelerant and strength to it, and now anti-globalism was exploding 5 years ago. 2 years ago, it was thermonuclear. Now it is like planets blowing up from supernovas, from giant stars erupting in thermonuclear meltdown. It's just supernova. It's devastating them. It's devastating their program, their unelected system they set up that they wanted to move through and never have debated. Vampire systems like this have to operate in the dark. Disclosure destroys them. David Rockefeller wrote letters to the press that have been declassified, praising them for keeping globalism secret. And our project for world government couldn't have been done without you, and now we're so close. Well, guess what? He died a month ago, and guess what? His project's falling apart. So it doesn't mean Trump's going to be perfect. Doesn't mean he doesn't have problems. I'm not hitched up to Trump because I talk to him sometimes. I don't care about that. I'm not some star chaser. What matters to me is the globalists are fundamentally scared, and it wasn't a psyop. And China and Russia are not in on this with Trump. The people used to always say that, and at a certain level, they're with the foundations, the communist elements are, with like Soros. But Russia's breaking away from that. China is in its own direction, and there are 3 major predator centers, sir. I love you. We'll be right back with breaking news. Oh, yeah, big investigation.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
reason InfoWars Life has 5-star ratings on major third-party sites is because I want products I'm going to use for my family. I take this. My family takes this. And then it funds the operation with the most hardcore, truthful information you're going to find anywhere. So what you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLife.com.
If I ever forget to take them, like I have a noticeable difference. I don't feel good. The nascent iodine is one of the ones that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I actually have just run out of my super female. I had a few bottles at my house, and I've been taking it again, hitting the gym once again. Very exciting, feeling great, looking good. So, and I know my hair's luxurious once again. So obviously the super female is amazing. I love it.
Nascent iodine is essential. Survival Shield X2. If there's one product that I would say is life-changing that I would suggest, it's Nascent iodine Survival Shield X2. It's got a 5-star rating.
It's a win-win. InfoWarsLife.com. A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Introducing Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com, a scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. Using our proprietary multi-step extraction technology, Deep Cleanse is our most affordable all-in-one cleanser with concentrated organic compounds like cilantro, milk thistle, fulvic acid, orange peel, zeolites, and others. Deep Cleanse doesn't hold back. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades-old scientific research to put together the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing. Look, there's a reason Deep Cleanse is the only product on the market that uses our proprietary Spigerex herbal processing technique. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
For the most part, InfoWars has not commented on the United Airlines incident because we think World War III is a bigger issue. But here's a take on it. Everyone involved is a jackass. Let's start with the airline. You couldn't raise the offer for someone to take it? Was $1,000 really too high for you? You really had a man physically removed from a flight that wasn't even overbooked. To the doctor. What the heck is wrong with you? How old are you? What did you think would happen? You knew they were removing you from the plane. Why did you then decide to act like a 5-year-old who doesn't want to leave the playground? You did this to yourself. To the passengers. As all of you sit there in horror of what you're seeing and hearing, not one of you selfish frauds had the courage to step up and volunteer your seat, but you had plenty of courage to videotape it, didn't you? All in all, this man got more attention than severed children in Sweden and Yemen, China moving troops to the North Korean border, a strange naval flight path off the West Coast, or the alleged patient he so desperately had to save. For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
Well, I was thumbing from Montgomery. I had my guitar on my back when a stranger stopped beside me in an antique Cadillac. He was dressed like 1950, half drunk and hollow-eyed. He said, "It's a long walk to Nashville. Would you like to ride?"
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
Down in the front seat, he turned on the radio, and them sad old songs coming out of them speakers
was solid country gold. Well, we've got solid hardcore research that our intrepid team, Millie Weaver, Gavin, of course, Leanne McAdoo, Owen Schroyer, everybody has been involved in here, the whole team, going and showing mainstream news from years ago, but also currently AP, thousands reportedly abused, many killed, little children by the UN. That's the UN specialty. My first film, America Destroyed by Design, spends about a third of its time on that because it's a chronicle of the UN, of globalism. We were raising the alarm. See how far we've come? I don't think folks getting demoralized by Trump going a little bit sideways. I'm not defending it. It's worrisome. But overall, thank God, globalism is in big retreat. So this is a war. But Leanne pointed out, because there's so much of this, Cynthia McKinney in congressional hearings a decade ago about major defense contractors who got caught all over the world kidnapping little kids, loading them on jet aircraft, selling them to Saudi Arabia, you name it. This was been in the Chicago Tribune. This has been in newspapers. But nowadays, when this stuff happens, it's not in newspapers. That's why I'm realizing I've got to get back into this. And now when you cover it, you get all sorts of hell. was McKinney questions Rumsfeld and Myers on DynCorp and 9/11 war games. That's C-SPAN, March 10th, 2005. Man, time flies. I said 10 years ago. That's now almost 12 years ago. And they demonized her in the media, but she comes on the show. She's a real liberal. And they ran the congressman that thinks islands float against her. They made up stuff, wouldn't let her go in the Capitol because they got rid of her because what she was covering was real. Talk about courage. So before we get into the boil down of tomorrow and next week, we're going to be airing large sections of these reports here, the Nightly News, from your week-long investigation with Michael Zimmerman and others there in California. You guys have a lot of courage doing that, by the way, Millie. Let's play what Leanne mentioned. Here it is.
Mr. Secretary, I watched President Bush deliver a moving speech at the United Nations in September 2003, in which he mentioned the crisis of the sex trade. The president called for the punishment of those involved in this horrible business. But at the very moment of that speech, DynCorp was exposed for having been involved in the buying and selling of young women and children. While all of this was going on, DynCorp kept the Pentagon contract to administer the smallpox and anthrax vaccines and is now working on a plague vaccine through the Joint Vaccine Acquisition Program. Mr. Secretary, is it policy of the U.S. government to reward companies that traffic in women and little girls?
Thank you, Representative. The answer to your first question is no, absolutely not. The policy of the United States government is clear, unambiguous, and opposed to the activities that you described. The second question.
Well, how do you explain the fact that DynCorp and its successor companies have received and continue to receive government contracts?
I would have to go and find the facts, but there are laws and rules and regulations with respect to government contracts, and there are times that corporations do things they should not do, in which case they tend to be suspended for some period. There are times then that under the laws and the rules and regulations passed by the Congress and implemented by the executive branch, that corporations can get off of out of the penalty box, if you will, and be permitted to engage in contracts with the government. They're not generally not barred in perpetuity.
This company was never in the penalty box. If you could proceed to my second question, please.
On your first question, I'm advised by Dr. Chu that it was not the corporation that was engaged in the activities you characterized, but I'm told it was an employee of the corporation, and it was some years ago in the Balkans that took place.
It's my understanding that it continues to take place. And
is that right?
Yes.
Well, if you can give me information to that effect.
I'm sure you are interested in all of the information that I have, and I'll be more than happy to provide it to you.
Good, thank you.
But I would also like to get information from you.
Okay.
For example, the information that I just requested about who has those contracts.
Exactly. I mean, and see, that's why we see these type of situations. They never go all the way to the top. Because that is who you're going to take down. You're going to not have people like Cynthia McKinney in there who are going to grill people like Donald Rumsfeld and say, listen, President Bush just gave us one thing at the United Nations, but then you turn around and you're awarding billion-dollar contracts to these same companies that are engaging in sex trafficking and human trafficking.
And that was in thousands of newspapers. And it wasn't just 16-year-old women they were kidnapping, or 14-year-olds or 13-year-olds by the thousands. It was little kids.
Right.
Some of them, they were shooting snuff films with them.
God, that's disgusting.
Wow, so that's a kickoff of this. Millie Weaver, Leanne, jump in here. Break down the latest smorgasbord of nightmare and the special reports you're premiering each night on the Nightly News. That also then go to InfoWars each day that will be premiering right through the week with your deep investigation in California.
Well, today we are releasing the Darknet interview. And, you know, it's important to touch on the fact that over 80% of dark web visits can be attributed to pedophilia. So the problem is that a lot of these dark web visitors are going there specifically for pedophilia. Now, they also use the dark web for drugs, for illegal gun sales.
Identity theft. Buying and selling blackmail. I mean, really the list, anything you can imagine, you can buy it on the dark net.
And there's problems with that as well, as far as people's identities being stolen. People can actually, these traffickers can use their ability to purchase any passports, and these are real passports that people are actually selling. So that means actual employees are abusing their power and selling it on the dark web because they know it can't be traced back to them, and they can use...
And let's expand on that. They now admit digital fingerprints are the worst way that that's being hacked and taken. They've got those by the millions. That government employees are the ones mainly selling giant databases in and then actually running networks with other groups to profit from it. It turns out globalists here have been framing Russia. I'm not a Russia-phile. It's come out in the Vault 7 news that the CIA, working with foreign groups, is stealing identities, making all this money, attacking Congress, attacking agencies, and blaming Russia in a build-up to war. And that's confirmed. And our own CIA leaked that because there's good people in there that are really concerned. So this all ties together.
That's exactly it. And, you know, this person who we interviewed, whose identity is going to remain anonymous for their own protection and safety, they went in to tell me how people can actually steal your identity and your IP address and then go on and purchase illegal things, visit pedophile sites.
And that's the key. They end up framing everyone. It's like the Pentagon 6-7 years ago, 10,000 computers had hardcore child porn. And people filed a public and said, no, this got put on our computers, and it was later confirmed by one of these bots. And guess who? CIA. Framing the army and others so they could then threaten them.
Right. That's exactly it. And it's pretty disturbing that our privacies are all going to be for sale on the dark web. And, you know, this person was actually getting into saying how you have groups of hackers out there who are just getting to the point where they're almost going to be able to hack into our medical records and start buying and selling people's medical records and medical information on the dark net. And that's some of the problems we're seeing with the dark web and people compiling all this information.
And that's why I don't like the telecom deal of the Republicans. It's better than Obama's, quote, net neutrality that really wasn't that gave total control over. They come in with one that restricts some of it, then lets the cable companies and telecoms finally get the data. Google doesn't want that. They want the monopoly. But that'll just be more data points that are saving data so those employees and people can steal and sell that as well. Nobody should be saving this stuff.
Right. And then they keep trying to tell you to put everything up into the cloud, trying to push big corporations or even small companies like this one. They're like, don't you understand how much information you have on your employees?
That's the thing. We don't keep stuff on clouds. Everybody I know does it, and they wonder why it gets hacked, why it gets used. That's crazy. Put everything you've got somewhere else.
Right.
It's like making fun of old people from the Depression who, you know, keep money buried in the backyard or in a mattress. It turns out they're a lot smarter because you could end up losing your money in the bank.
Exactly.
You know, me and Leanne were having a little bit of a discussion on this because it's such a complicated issue as far as the drug trade on the dark net. And, you know, what really is the solution? I know Leanne had a pretty interesting take on it. Leanne?
Well, we were just sort of talking about repealing a lot of these drug laws because if we could do away, for instance, with people who feel like they need to buy drugs in the Silk Road, for instance, because they know they're going to go to prison if they get caught. If we could do away with that, then we could really focus in on these people who are trafficking.
Right. The drug war is a great distraction from all the really hardcore victim crimes.
Right.
And it's also a gateway. The whole drug culture helps fund all this other illicit, really hardcore criminal stuff. And so it's a gateway to empower the criminal system, and the system knows that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing. And how much money is made. And they use Bitcoin on the dark web. That is their currency because it's encrypted. It cannot be tracked. It's all decentralized. So it's a perfect way to be able to buy things and nobody knows. It's just like essentially cash on the internet.
Right.
Well, I just want to advise everybody, do not go on these dark webs or whatever they're called, especially the ones that advertise themselves as illicit or criminal, because it is just, it's like joining a satanic cult or something. All the manipulation, all the lies, all the con artists, all the horrible people. It's the worst place in the world you want to go. Obviously, I don't want to call for a bunch of regulations to shut down private internet systems themselves because it could actually be for good. It's just we're here exposing it because sunshine is the best disinfectant.
Right. And you know, we don't want to say for the government to take control of these systems the way they can. I mean, it's just like when Matt Drudge came here and said, get out of these internet ghettos. They want us to believe the only access through the internet is their little ghettos that they've set up for us. And so it's nice to have sort of that freedom. But again, you think the government is hiring all of these really pro hackers, these young people saying, come work for us, come help us with the government. Well, why aren't those hackers able to get in and deal with the dark web?
Well, the truth is, at the top, the big corporations and people are running this. They're using it for compromise. They're using it for control. We know that. It just came out 3 months ago, a month ago, and 2 days ago. Associated Press, Reuters, you can type it in. CIA caught using the tools, we already knew they had them, to go frame people. Right. And this is what they do.
Yes.
This is what they do, ladies and gentlemen. This is how corrupt. And, of course, they framed Assad. And, I mean, they have the history of doing it. They've been caught before. They have the motive. You look at Assad saying, of course we didn't do this. It's a staged event to invade our country. You can tell he's telling the truth, not just from the evidence. You look at him, he's telling the truth.
Right.
You know, and Leanne, that was a great question. You know, why hasn't the government done more to shut down and fight the dark web? And really the answer to that is they have shut down aspects and sites on the dark web. And every time they shut down sites on the dark web, 10 more pop up in its place. So the problem is that they actually have less control than we even think they do. And there are some positives to the dark web, given that if they ever tried to completely censor the internet like we've seen with China, we could actually have another medium to access sites and things that maybe the government tries to ban on the controlled web.
Sure, and let's break this down. Then the best article to show is the one, of course, he did over a month ago. I mean, I love showing Zero Hedge and AP Reuters. You can see ours first. You know, Infowars.com, laying it all out. Told you years ago. We're not bragging. They just keep saying we're the fake news. When I told everybody Sunday, talk to my sources with the president. He's not going to put up a no-fly zone. It was just because they didn't get rid of the chemicals. It was to look strong, to shut up all this stupid Russia stuff, and for the Chinese president. The president comes up 2 days later, says exact words. Because that's what he did. Now, is he lying to my sources? Hadn't lied to me yet. Hadn't lied to them yet. So we'll see what happens. He was lying to us or wrong in supporting that bill that Paul Ryan brought him. But other than that, he's doing pretty good in my view. I don't want to digress off into that subject, but he is going after the pedophile rings. We're seeing record arrests, not just of child porn, but the people with the children. That's why you went to California to do an investigation of why there was only one article each time they bust 120-something, 470-something, another 100 here. And then never, well, where are the kids? Well, where'd they go? Well, who were the people? And a lot of them were kids grabbed out of their backyards years ago. Right. I mean, that was confirmed in major news. Show, again, thousands of kids raped, hundreds murdered. AP confirms by the UN in one operation in Haiti. And then, but then AP says no arrests, nothing's being done. It just hits a brick wall. So, ladies?
Yeah, no arrests, nothing being done about it, but let's worry about Russia or all this other fake news. And I love how they also kind of say that the Daily Mail, for instance, is like a fake news site. And yeah, it has some tabloid.
No, it's got girls in bathing suits and, guys in bathing suits. I mean, it's got that on the side. It's a very good news source.
But yeah, they're one of the only places that will report truthfully things going on in the U.S. And they do hit hard on these type of stories.
Well, they rewrite our stories about a week later.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We're happy for them to do it.
They
give us credit a lot, too.
They'll give us credit a lot of the times, but they really have hit hard on this. Like, why is this not a huge story? UN workers were taking children in Haiti and forcing them to perform sex acts on at least 134 of these peacekeepers. So it's not enough that they go in
2,000 cases.
Give them a cholera epidemic and kill a bunch
on purpose, crapping in the water supply.
Yes, but then they go, and this girl is talking about how she still hadn't even gone through puberty yet, and she was forced to have sex with nearly 50 people. Okay, they would pay her like 75 cents or something. She's a child, and so no one's been arrested for this. And this is. You were talking about the dark web and how they're able to create passports and things for these kids. This is exactly what was happening when we saw the young lady that Hillary Clinton actually helped get a softer sentence for, where she was taking out these kids from Haiti. Oh, and she was doing it because she was loving and she wanted to rescue these foster kids that had no parents.
And now she's changed her name and runs another foster thing.
Yeah, but it's like...
For abused kids.
So you just go grab kids, snatch kids, and then take them to another...
Well, Sandusky ran a thing for helping kids. And so expanding on it, Tell folks where they can find your reports, Melly, what we've already aired last night, more coming tonight on the exclusive, getting in to the Getty Center and showing the real satanic manuals, just showing how real all this is. Because if you read the UN report, it goes further. So a lot of the kids got killed. There were deaths, too.
Wow.
Yes.
It's just sick.
You will be able to find the report on the dark web, which this is an exclusive interview with someone who we had to mask their identity, their voice is distorted, and they're taking us into the dark net and the dark web, and you'll actually see the TV guide kind of format where you can actually see all the different sites. You can see how it's categorized as hard candy, these pedophile sites where children are bought and sold routinely, such as the children from Haiti. I mean, for as little as even $300. Isn't that completely horrible? So you will be able to find that on Infowars.com. It's also going to be up on the Alex Jones channel. So basically, keep in touch and keep checking back because that's going to be up today. We also are going to be releasing the extensive investigative report on the satanic manuscripts and going into the history of Aleister Crowley and Satanism in Hollywood, which has direct ties to pedophile elite trafficking rings.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you and Gavin and Michael got in to this thanks to your contacts, and it's really horrible to look at. There's a lot more.
This image here, I want to kind of explain what this actually is. This is a king, and this is explaining how the elite, the royals, the kings, he's waiting for his bath. His bath is being prepared by his servants as they are bloodletting these babies, these children.
To death.
To death. They are pouring their blood into chalices, into vials, and then they are pouring it into a bath where he's going to bathe in this blood. And this is.
And by the way, I've read mainline history books about royalty in Europe. In fact, you can search engine it. Royal queens that bathed in blood.
Right.
And it was well known that they would just take a kid, slit their throat, put it in there, and put water in with it, that they would bathe in the blood. That's where all the vampire legends come from.
And there are tons of celebrity music videos out there where we have these Hollywood celebrities who have Aleister Crowley occult symbolism all throughout their videos. And what do you know? They've got scenes of bathtubs filled with blood that they are soaking and bathing in. We have Eminem bathing in blood. We have, Lil Wayne having music videos where he has his trafficked women bathing in blood and
there's Elizabeth
walls.
Bathory.
Yeah, she's just one that got caught, and she was a noble woman from Hungary. Again, it's Hungary, Romania, Transylvania. That's where it all started, and that's where the legends, the people from Transylvania, the nobles, grab you, take you to the castle, and drink your blood. Well, they do. So that's where this comes from, and that, of course, is related directly to Prince Charles.
Been labeled as the most prolific female murderer by Guinness World Records.
That's right. She's called a serial killer.
Yeah, and more relating even to that.
And they kidnap children from the village on a weekly basis for her meal.
And part of it is through the occult, at least. Not only is it that they drink the blood and they bathe in the blood to try and become immortal and
650 kids she killed.
Yeah, it's disgusting. This is what the elite used to do. We had Vlad the Impaler. We had all these people throughout history.
Well, she's a descendant of him, yeah.
Yeah, and not only are they doing it for immortality and youth, they also do it for spirits, conjuring spirits, demonic possession, because they believe that these spirits,
doing horrible things gives them this power.
Well, they believe
power transfer. It's a transfer of energy.
Exactly, and they believe that these spirits actually give them knowledge, so they're after
from beyond the veil.
Yes,
and expanding on that. We're now going into all this because I realized, I've even told friends, Vlad the Impaler, Count Dracula. And they go, no, dude, Vlad the Impaler is a different guy. No, Count Dracula, it means Count Dracula means Count Dragon. Vlad the Impaler was called, the Dragon King. That's an admitted fact. That's where the legend comes from. That's not my opinion.
It was related to Prince Charles, and they're really
absolutely direct. That's where the whole royal family comes from.
Descendant.
And he's moved back there. That's where he lives sometimes most of the year. He actually bought the original Count Dracula castle and has moved into it.
Yeah, you can visit there, I think.
Well, he also owns some other castles he's turned into hotels, but Dracula had 5 or 6 castles, but the big famous one lives there. Can't make it up. Lives in Count Dracula's castle, related to Count Dracula, and is connected to all the child kidnapping, you name it.
It's probably because they didn't have to the torture dungeons are already there, so they don't have to.
We're going to come back and do a little bit more of this before our next great host comes in and hosts the fourth hour, Anthony Cumia. But I want to play this report. It's real CNN reports that are fake from the past. 1991, a new one they put out this week where they said they were in Syria and they weren't. You hear the birds tweeting and then that gets turned off and you can see what's happening there with a phone ringing. And then we've got the babies in the incubators on C-SPAN. And then we've got my little joke spliced into CNN of Syrian chatter admitting they did the chemical attack, which Assad's denied. Here it is.
They took the babies out of the incubators. Incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
CNN's Carl Rochelle is here with me. Just came up. Carl, I know we can't be very specific given these restrictions, but within those parameters, what did you see?
Well, what I saw, I didn't see anything hit. I looked very almost straight above us. There's a vapor trail coming from my right to my left, and there's a cloud of something. It looks like it might have been an explosion of cloud. I'd say...
Senior international correspondent is Ben Wiedemann. He is live for us on the Syrian border. We can see the sun is coming up, Ben, so good morning to you there. You are there on that border. It's daylight now. What's the reaction?
Well, the reaction, what we've heard from the Syrian media, we've been reporting on, no reaction from those people who have borne the brunt of the aggression by the Syrian regime now for well over 6 years. But it's important to keep in mind when looking at the situation in Syria that the vast number of the victims of this regime, more than 400,000, they were killed by the regime, not by ISIS. And therefore, many Syrians will be happy to see some sort of punishment.
Footage, if you're a radio listener, of the white hats with their fake mannequins, people pretending, actors, that they've been in bomb wreckage. And then they go cut. They've done that live on CNN too. They're like, are you ready? Okay, start the shooting. Boom, boom. They're like, we're in the battle zone. Oh, it's horrible.
Boy, did I almost look stupid.
Good evening, Anderson. Well, what we've learned from a senior U.S. official is that the U.S. military and intelligence community does now have the communications intercepts of the Syrian military and chemical experts talking about preparations for that Syrian attack. Now, what's
Hello, this is Syrian military. Under orders of Putin, we launched chemical attack on civilian. So United States invade and defeat us. This is radio transmission of our plan to launch the chemical attack to cross the red line so that they invade us and defeat us. We do this because we're winning now, and we do this now so Saudi Arabia can invade us and take over. We want to be thrown out of power. That's why we've fought civil war started by West for 6 years. So we agree with your Adam Schiff. Oh, great American that we are.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. Fourth hour straight ahead. We'll have some final comments from Leanne and Millie, and I have some, and then Anthony Cumia takes over, a fresh horse ready to bust out. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile volatile organic contaminants and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction. Easy assembly. Low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
I see your hair is burning.
He aligns himself with the truth, and it's time for you to choose a side. You're listening to Alex Jones.
Hills are filled with fire.
Your hair is burning.
You know, it's funny. They cut out the music for YouTube. Sometimes they put it out, or other people do, without music. And I'm sitting there singing. I'm not a good singer anyway, but I'm having fun. You know they are a liar.
You know they are a liar.
Don't you wish Jim Morrison wouldn't have died at 27?
Yeah, you know, the 27 Club in Hollywood. Yeah. All these mysterious deaths.
Hills and valleys roll. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, it's just more of the Hollywood occult.
Cops in cars.
Where we have celebrities mysteriously dying, linked to weird murders and deaths. We had that River Phoenix, and we had, Jimi Hendrix, a bunch of them.
Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin. Who else?
Motel Money, Murder Madness.
Jimi Hendrix.
And you know, the thing about it is, they say a lot of record execs will kill people because then they think that's when their career's peaked and then they can own all of themselves and never pay the artist.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Anton Yelchin even was 27 when we had that.
Get your mojo rising. Getting serious. Great job on the reports. I don't like focusing on it. Neither do you guys. We got to do it for the children, especially when the media is trying to say none of this is going on. I think they have jumped the big trillion-pound megalodon shark on this. We've got some other breaking news, but just briefly, tell us what else is coming up in the nightly news and some of these other reports you guys are working on.
Well, David Knight and I will be hosting the 3 to 5 Drive live, and so we're going to be talking all things Trump, as well as some more how their technology is invading your life via these smart homes, and just giving you some examples of how you...
Did you see how the CIA
really
came out?
These things soon.
And they just admit they've got AI spying on us?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but remember just 5 years ago, I'm crazy. I say the NSA spying on.
Yeah, you are a tinfoil hat wearer.
And I'm not like saying, oh, look, I told you. It was all documented 22 years ago when I was on there.
Right.
It's not like I came up with this.
Exactly. And just how they were saying Trump was a conspiracy theorist to say that Obama was spying on him or part of the Obama administration, and then that turned out to be wrong.
Because they played with the words on, they didn't physically go in and put a little wiretap in his office.
Yeah. Well, I know there's been some talk from Hillary and others, Podesta and others, about wanting to come after me politically or lawsuits, dealing with all this Pizzagate stuff when the media is the ones that hyped up the parts of it that were wrong. We covered it. And and they take it as weakness that I retract as some guy at a place because I wanted to be clear. We didn't create all that. But I'm actually sitting there going, well, if people want to start something, I'm ready to pose everybody. I actually kind of look forward to it. It's going to be interesting. And I'm not really saying that because I don't want them to. I'm actually thinking either way, we're just going to keep investigating, moving forward. We're on the offense.
Well, you get discovery if they want to come after you, so...
and I'm not going to just roll over. I got the money. Our listeners have the money. We're going to go to town.
They can scare you into